Hey, jerks, welcome. The gang is all here. Everybody's here. What a wild day today in Dedham for the Karen Reed hearing. Hoping to see two charges get dismissed, the first and the third. We'll see what happens. We got what you need tonight. We got attorney Bederow and Mazza Media in the green room. Let's bring them up right now. Mazza was there today. Hey, Mazza.
What's going on, Mike? How you doing?
Good. And attorney Bederow.
How are you?
You were watching it today with Melanie Little, and
I did, yeah.
Mazza was there today. So you guys have been busy all day today, huh?
Yeah.
It was quite the day off from work for me, I'll tell you that much. Going nonstop. It was a great day today. It was awesome
Did you
to
get
see
your
everybody
buffalo
in
wings?
person again.
Have you had
No, I'm having
buffalo
those
wings yet?
after the show tonight. So I had a Slim Jim just before coming on the show. So I'm transitioning to buffalo wings after the show. So I had the Macho Man version of the Slim Jim, 3 times the size of a normal Slim Jim. It's amazing. So that will hold me off for at least 2 hours.
You're sacrificing right now.
I am. I'm good.
So tell us about today. I mean, it looked like a huge turnout. Was it like bigger than before or about the same? What was your thoughts today?
It was a huge turnout. I can't really tell if it was as big as it was on June 25th or July 1st when the place was just packed for the trial. But there was a very, very significant showing today. The pink shirts, the Karen Reed shirts, the signs, the flags were out in force. There were so many people that we all know and love that were there today. There were some people there that were there for the first time. And it was definitely energetic. I was kind of in like a low energy mood driving in this morning. And then all of a sudden, like the second I got out of the vehicle and I saw, Rita, I saw Jen, I saw all these great people, Allison and Chrissy Mello, all those people. I met up with them in the parking lot. All of a sudden my energy just went boom and I was all ready to go. And Blue Shirts had a pretty solid turnout for their numbers. It'd be interesting if they had actually started showing up a year and a half ago, if they wanted justice for him so badly. But they counter, we were all on megaphones. Dina today was amazing. I got to give a shout out to Dina. She was on the megaphone and boy, did she deliver. It was absolutely awesome. And she just kind of said it just like it was. And they started to chant justice for JJ. And we decided to chant justice for JJ along with the Blue Shirts because I think we all want justice for John O'Keefe. I think from an ideology, can't even say the word today, from a point of ideology, we have just a fundamental difference. They think Karen Reed did it. Some people there are just basically McAlberts. People on our side simply just don't think Karen Reed did it, but them trying to drown us out by trying to claim that, chanting for justice for JJ is some kind of like counter protest to what we're all talking about is absolutely ridiculous because anybody that's in the Free Karen Reed movement wants justice for John O'Keefe. Nobody wants to see what happened to him happen. And we're fighting for truth because we believe that Karen Reed was framed and that his murder was covered up.
Absolutely. I question if some of them actually are for justice for John O'Keefe. I just don't feel it on some of them. I feel like it's hate Turtle Boy, and they're, John O'Keefe's just something they're using. But
yeah,
well, some of them have flipped. So I mean, that just tells you they go with the wind. And I mean, people have posted the pictures of some of the rabble rousers and some of the troublemakers used to wear free Karen Reed gear. And now they've gone on the other side. And what's the common denominator? They hate certain individuals who were leading the brigade of exposing this. So, I mean, whatever, it's a free country. You can like what you like, but credibility matters. And anybody who just changes, look, it's a circus to some, which is unfortunate. It's kind of a little gross in that regard, but people flip sides based upon personalities. That's not about justice. That's just about being a part of the circus and wanting to be a part of the spectacle.
Yeah. Now we saw a video. You ran into our old friend, the guy in the attic.
Yes, I did he actually came over to us. He had said hello to Dina. He didn't come over with any intention. And I just want to be fair, about how I talk about it, but he came over. He didn't seem to have any intention to have any kind of conflict at all. He came over to say hello to Dina. Me and Brian kind of eased our way over. And, he noticed we were videoing him, of course. And so we wanted to take a moment to just kind of ask him a few questions. My question was basically, were you originally someone that believed that Karen Reed was innocent, and he kind of talked about that. And then Brian asked him an important question, which is, do you think that the earth is round or flat? And then that's when a little bit of inciting kind of started, where him and Brian kind of had a little back and forth, and Brian was kind of laughing, and Yellow Cottage Tales was a little bit kind of perturbed by the question. But I think it's an interesting question, because you want to try to find out what they think. Yeah.
For Kevin.
It's called getting a baseline. Yeah.
So I watched the video of the 4 or 5 minutes of video, and it was funny. You know, do you think the earth is flat? Oh, whatever. That was all fun. But analytically, somebody asked him, I don't know if it was you or whether it was Brian, asked him about ARCA. And
Brian.
This is what he said. And this is fascinating. And this is why you should disregard this man as anything other than just, I don't know what the word is. Well, it'll come to me. But in any event, he said they're qualified people, right? They're some of the most skilled people in the world, but they were not credible witnesses. At that point, you can turn the TV off. You should never listen to him again, because that's just, this is the famous any 10 drunks in a bar guy telling you that these scientists are qualified, but they weren't credible, because this guy knows more about the physics and the whatnot. In other words, they must have either been affirmatively dishonest, affirmatively lying, affirmatively biased, even though they're certainly credentialed and capable of giving you a proper opinion. They chose not to. That guy should be disregarded forever with this stuff. That's just clown show level stuff. So that was very revealing.
Yeah, I think he mostly is disregarded by most people now. What I find funny is he was so polite today. He's such a throwing out the insults, Captain Tough Guy. I think the word you were looking for, Mark, was grifter.
It was kind of tongue in cheek.
Because that to me, like, it's like, is it an act on social media where he calls everyone idiots and morons and zombies, and then in person he's all like, "Oh, whoa, how you doing?" It's like, who is the real Kevin? Is Kevin the nice guy, or is Kevin the guy on Twitter or on his show who calls everyone names? Which is the real Kevin? Like, where's the grift and where's Kevin? I'm trying to figure that out.
He was so pleasant today, and I mean that sincerely. When he came over, like, he did not come over in a way that was trying to be argumentative. I actually asked him, I go, "Are you flipping sides and finally going to admit that Karen Reed is innocent?" He goes, "Oh, no, I'm not going to switch." So I had to dig him with that question just to get the truth. But he, like I said, he didn't come over as someone that, you wouldn't imagine this is the guy that's posting artificial intelligence memes of zombies all day long. Like, he was kind of like, "Hey, what's going on?" And he was more than willing to answer our questions, and he was all right. He was all right. He wasn't actually, I kind of expected him to kind of be the way he was in terms of like non-combative, but when you hear about him online or see him online, he's a little bit more, like you said, Mike, he's a lot more come at you, insult us, and these people are just simply zombies. It's
yeah, but even taking away the personality, go to the analysis. What he claims, he's going to educate the masses. And what he said about the ARCA people today, that's a disqualifier. I mean, that's just silly. That's not a serious commentator or a serious analyst, and he should just be put out to pasture with this stuff.
Right. Oh, absolutely. And it's like, that's kind of the drift we got. We're like, well, he's coming off nice. Is it an act? Is it, and we just kind of like, don't extend your hand. Don't shake his hand. Don't be cool. It's he must have some kind of motive. So we all kind of were like, and then a few other people jumped in too and just started asking him questions and countering him and all that. And then eventually Sergeant Hardo came over and said, "Hey, get over there." But he played it nice. But then, like I said, you see his online behavior. He has nothing positive to really say about any of us. I mean, he's personally called me a grifter more than once online. I don't know who this Mazza media is, but judging by the looks of his profile, he seems to be a grifter.
A grifter.
Grifter, real estate lawyer, dummy, any 10 drunks in a bar. It just
Jelly. He calls me Jelly. He gave me the
name
Jelly. Young Jelly. I kind of like it though, because
Young Jelly is awesome.
Kevin is jealous. Kevin is very jealous. That's what it signifies.
There are so many intelligent people that have input, if you like this kind of stuff, that he's just meaningless. He's a gnat. he's not
Yeah.
worthy of anyone's time with this stuff. He's just
It's
a
not
gr-
even entertaining anymore. Like
no.
he's done a few shows recently on me, I guess, and I don't even have like in the old days I would have watched it, eaten it up, and maybe done a like I've done a few times, like in the last month or two. I've come back at him. Like now I'm just like it's just
It's not
so
worth it.
done. It's so bored. I'm bored by it. Like if I'm
Yeah.
bored by something,
Wait a
I'm not
minute.
gonna do it. I don't even listen. Like when
Let's
he's talking
be
about me,
fair.
I don't even listen.
Let's be fair. The closing argument is entertaining, and if it
That
increases
was the last one,
engagement,
though. That was the last entertaining piece he put out.
that one is worthy of watching and increasing his engagement and whatever. It's entertaining. Anyway,
Yeah.
I can't even watch now, though. Like I used to actually enjoy it. I liked when the Galera used to do the rip apart ones when you do the. I can't do it anymore. I just can't. He's gotten stale.
10 minutes after he walked away, I looked to my left and he's over there and he's glaring right at me. And I looked right back at him and I didn't break the stare until he looked away. And also a few other people
Attaboy.
stared me down today. Grandpa Eclipse stared me down. It was so awesome. I was actually in the parking lot today and I said, if I meet one person on the other side, let it be Grandpa Eclipse. I'm a big fan. I love the guy. He's like this old time tough guy that thinks he's Charles Bronson and Dirty Harry. And he
What do you want?
I call him old Stone
Test
Cold.
me.
Yeah.
Test me, turtle boy.
Come on.
I'll make it hard.
So he was staring down all of us. I mean, he was looking at everybody. And some woman I met earlier in the day had kind of just yelled at him, "Stop staring at us, Grandpa Eclipse." And everyone starts laughing. And then I noticed he was looking at me. So he's like smirk. He does like the smirk, like the "I'm an old time badass. Yeah, come on." He does that kind of stuff. And I just look right back at him. And I'm like, yeah, I'll stare you down too. I'll stare right back at you. And finally, I noticed he didn't stare anybody down much longer after that. And then the other guy that stared me down, it was 3 people, was the guy that went after a few of the people last week. The big, tough guy there. They call him Low T. He looked at me and I looked right back at him and he didn't look at me again. So it was interesting. It was like I enjoy being out there. It's especially when they try to tough ass our side. Apologize for swearing, Mike. They try to tough our side a little bit. Then a guy like myself shows up and it's like, why don't you get in my face? Why don't you get in my face the way you do with women and try to push them around and why don't you go ahead and step up? No, I'm just kidding.
They won't.
But yeah, it's just there was no hostility from a physical sense like there was the last time we saw those folks. Tony Fed was out there today. The guy's actually a riot in person. It was funny listening to Turtle Boy on the megaphone today at the Registry of Deeds, and he kept like interrupting Turtle Boy with his own megaphone. It was like a Saturday Night Live skit. It was actually pretty funny. It truly was. But we had a successful day here. Our side had the far majority of people, and we ain't got no quitting. I made sure to say that in the megaphone too today.
Excellent.
Yep.
And Attorney Bederow, what do you think about court today? Where do you want to start there?
Well, I thought Weinberg's oral argument was outstanding. Obviously, someone's been doing this a long time at a high level of skill, both in terms of style, reading the room, and substance. Thought he was really on point. I thought he was particularly effective in telling the DA, come with us. If this is about justice, then let's walk into the light together and see if this is an acquittal or not. And, he knew what the DA was going to do, that they're going to do exactly what they did and make it look terrible. But in watching what the defense argument was, it was great because it really is all the stuff that we've been talking about for the past month, I guess. Are you in favor of substance over form or form over substance? You saw one side today clearly is more concerned with, whether someone might be tried twice for the same crime for which they were acquitted versus the other side who said, well, there's no evidence of that and it doesn't matter. We don't need to know. I thought the defense very effectively asked for the right thing. They asked for a hearing, more evidence. Let's see where it goes. That's the correct ask. And then what do you have again the other side doing? Well, there have been some jurors who have said this, but There's really no credible evidence or no reason to explore this any further. So you look at this and you say, this is the Bederow trial again, or the Bederow case. Who are the good guys? Who are the bad guys? The prosecutors are supposed to be the ones seeking justice, seeking fairness. And what you saw the defense today doing that. You saw the prosecutor being the one who was obfuscating, obstructing, blocking evidence. And I think one of the most unfortunate things in this process was, even though it was a lengthy oral argument, the judge didn't handle it the way you would hope that an appellate oral argument is held. And what I mean by that is, when you have an argument in front of appeals court, the judges will interrupt you if there's something they want clarified or a point they want to make. And there were many, many times today where Lally in particular, of course, was saying things that if a judge was affirmatively engaged, would have interrupted him politely. I don't mean cutting him off in a nasty way, but said, well, how do you explain this? Or how do you distinguish this? Or why can't we do this? And to hear his responses, whether he would have had any, would have been really interesting. One of the things that stuck out to me was, everyone agrees that no one should be tried twice for a crime. I mean, that's just the most un-American thing if somebody's been acquitted. And the question for Lally from the judge should have been, what's the harm in speaking to the jurors? Okay, we have all these affidavits. You also, the DA, now concede you had some contact with the jurors or a juror who told you the same thing. What's the harm in me, the judge, fleshing this out, hearing from the jury? Let me hear if they really acquitted. And more importantly, let me hear why they didn't, quote unquote, publish the verdict, whether it be checking the box or this. And let's focus on substance over form, which is another thing that Weinberg did really well. If there's an issue with the jury, if there's a racial bias, we're not afraid to bring jurors back. They do it. It's not unprecedented. Okay. If there's an issue about whether a juror was improperly exposed to media that could have influenced him, they'll bring a juror back. But you can't do it in a situation where there may very well have been an acquittal. Like, we're not interested in hearing about that. What's the harm? Why not do that? And I think you would have seen the DA crumble at that. So I think also the judge would, and again, I don't know how familiar or not familiar she was with the legal issues or not. And that's not a criticism. That's just an observation. I don't know. But the cases that Lally, and we've talked about this before, was relying upon, they're not on point at all. Okay. Deliberations that continue wipe out any previous decision that a jury may have made. So the fact that there are slips on the floor when the jury leaves that say, we believe the defendant is not guilty, that could have happened before they decided they were hung. So we don't want to bring jurors back and get into the deliberations. I get it. The Bluford case, the one where they went back and deliberated, he kept citing these cases. The judge should have said, well, how is that not different? Isn't that, a big deal that this is totally different? How do you explain that? Isn't this the fact that, we have 3 multiple counts here as opposed to, just a lesser included? So I thought there was a lot of opportunities that the, judge could have taken to really grill politely, when I say grill, the DA, and really drill down on what exactly are they suggesting. And I also think the judge missed an opportunity by having a conversation with him about, you keep saying that we're treading into dangerous areas about the deliberative process. Wouldn't it have been helpful if the judge said, can you explain to me how asking a juror in this context about whether you acquitted or didn't is somehow asking about the deliberative process? It's not. Okay. The deliberative process would be bringing a juror in and saying, well, how do we know you acquitted? Why did you? Well, we didn't believe this witness was credible. That's off limits. Jurors are never supposed to have to justify their thought process, the deliberative process. But, Lally, as he did during the trial, in the summation, in his opening, seems to have an allergy to either the truth or overcompensating for things that are not accurate, whether it's on purpose, whether it's a mistake, but he ought to be called out on it, and especially in a legal argument. And I think it would have been very helpful in creating a more powerful record in the event there's an appeal on this. But I thought what Weinberg did was masterful. Both his initial argument and his rebuttal, which is exactly what a rebuttal should be, expose the DA's weakness, get in, get out, sit down. I don't think it could have gone better for the defense, because everybody knows that she was acquitted and no one's really disputing it. The DA is just saying we don't need to hear about it. They look terrible. It's another example of them. If they should go left, they go right. If they should go right, they go left. They just continue to have the worst instinct and worst judgment in how this works. And then as soon as this hearing was over, what happened? Here come the jurors talking to the press again, and they're getting nastier. Exactly like we predicted. One of them said, I huddled with other jurors today, and if they want to know what the truth is, we acquitted her, they'll bring us in and we'll tell them. But if they don't want to know, fine. It's happening exactly the way we talked about weeks ago, that they're disrespecting the jurors. And listening to Lally say they're going to be coerced and we don't do this, they volunteered for this. This whole issue was brought to light by the jurors contacting the defense within 48 hours. So the defense has already won, because everybody knows there was an acquittal. And if the DA can't read the room, even if they win this legal argument, are you really going to retry her for murder and bring in new jurors? And like, what are you talking about, dude? She was acquitted. What's wrong with you people? They've already lost.
Yeah, expect more jurors to speak up. Sounds like one of them might be talking to Aiden Turtleboy. I'd like to see that, hopefully on a show pretty soon.
That would be something.
Yeah, but you brought up something about the judge, because I was watching this today and I was shocked too that she didn't interrupt, ask any questions at all. What do you think about that? Like, if you were the attorney and you're viewing this judge not asking anything, what would you think? Like, where's she going? Like, what do you think?
You can vary on this. A lot of times if you go to the appellate context, if you're giving an oral argument and you have what they would call a cold bench, that, in other words, nobody's interrupting you. They're just letting you go. A lot of times you might take that as a good sign. Okay. Meaning, like, when Weinberg's talking, because she's engaged, she's listening. I don't really have any questions. The concern I have is she didn't do anything with anyone. And there were clear questions that I would have had with what Lally was doing, where I would have interrupted, again, not for the sake of interrupting, but to clarify what's going on here. And she didn't. So I don't know that I read into it one way or the other. I don't know if she was up to date on the legal issues. And if you're not, the best thing to do is probably do nothing. Just sit there, take it. I'm not surprised that she didn't issue a ruling today. You need to have a written decision for something like this. But also, as I predicted, this is really going to come down to whether she's going to grant the hearing or deny it. And so the decision here, if she does this correctly, is just, to me, granting a hearing, which is going to continue this process. She's not going to dismiss counts 1 and 3, I think, without hearing from the jurors. And to me, the critical issue is, let's assume they all say, yeah, we acquitted. I mean, that seems kind of obvious at this point. The issue really at this point is, well, then why wasn't that communicated? And let's see if that's, passes the laugh test, or if that passes, being a credible story. You do have to know why. It is a fair question to wonder why no one said this. And the answer may be embarrassing for the judge, because your instructions were kind of a mess. They got confused. It is what it is. But I think the answer here clearly is just grant the hearing. It's not difficult. This is pretty easy, actually.
Mazza, you want to comment on any of that?
Yeah, just Adam Lally, just him again today, talking about the, the sheet that the jurors got. Simply mark, you can simply mark it guilty or not guilty. I mean, there was controversy over that from the moment the jury was sent back to deliberate, and it was immediately addressed in the court. I mean, you literally had to see them go back in the courtroom, the attorneys and all that, and the prosecutor, up against Auntie Bev to basically discuss the fact that the defense didn't like what was written on that sheet, and it didn't make a lot of sense. And I think, in my opinion, they're either out to date and they're still operating that courtroom like it's 1862, or they're just not, creating things that are crystal clear for the jury. And it's unprecedented to have at least 4 jurors that have come forward and basically stated, hey, look, we said it was not guilty on counts 1 and 3. That's it. And each count is counted on its own basis. Guilty or not guilty on 1, guilty or not guilty on 2, guilty or not guilty on 3. That's it. There is no across the board. It's not, well, if you're guilty on 1, well, or it's, whatever on 1, it's a hung jury, it's a mistrial. You don't dismiss 2 counts. You do not dismiss 2 counts because they're declared not guilty. Those counts are off the board now. If 1 and 3 are not guilty, that's it for those 2 counts. They're out of here. And Weinberg did a great job of discussing double jeopardy over and over again today inside of that courtroom and bringing it up, and basically made the statement to Auntie Bev, don't let Karen Reed be the first person to have to face double jeopardy. But I will tell you something, given the frame job and given the cover up that we have seen, if there was going to be one person in the history of Massachusetts to face double jeopardy, you bet that Commonwealth, in the way they've conducted themselves, would make sure that Karen Reed was the first person to face double jeopardy, because that's the path that they're going down right now. They are relentless about treating this woman this way. They are violating her civil rights. They are violating every right that she particularly has. And that courtroom is an absolute disgrace.
Well, couple things. One, and we talked about this the last time too, is that the DA, they're going to do exactly what they shouldn't do. They should either consent to a hearing or just dump the murder charge and say none of this matters. And by not doing that, by going with option C, they're going to put all the pressure on the judge, which is exactly what they did, because it's the wrong thing to do. So now it's all on the judge, and she has to scratch her head and say, am I going to be the first judge probably in United States jurisprudence history to authorize a retrial of an acquitted murder defendant, such that, as Weinberg said, they're going to get 24 jurors to take a bite at the apple instead of 12. She's not going to want to do that. Okay. And they left it for her. They put it all on her. And the worst part about this hearing, it was always going to be the most interesting thing to me to see how does the DA handle it. And they're so tone deaf. They're so, I mean, the demeanor even, why not just go in there and say, we recognize the jurors are putting out these affidavits in an abundance of caution as ministers of the truth, seeking justice. We consent to a hearing because no one should ever be tried twice for the same crime if they were acquitted the first time. And Your Honor, let's see where it goes. We still reserve the right to make all these legal arguments, but let's flesh this out, because maybe one of the jurors will say we didn't reach a verdict.
Why don't they do that?
Because
it's normal. That's what they should do.
They have the worst instincts of any DA's office you'll ever see. They always go in the wrong direction that they should, and they don't recognize it's just going to get worse and worse. The scandal deepens and deepens. It looks terrible. They're putting the pressure on the judge. And what are they going to do, by the way, if the judge ultimately, I'm not making predictions, but if she basically says, I can't let this go forward, on a murder count, how are they going to react to that? They're going to appeal. Are they going to appeal that? Meaning the DA, if that's what happens? All they had to do is say, obviously, there's a problem with the murder case. Forget the law. Okay, all these jurors are saying, buddy, we acquitted. There's no murder case. It stinks for any number of reasons. Forget the legal issue. Why not just say, let's avoid this, avoid the embarrassment, avoid the scandal, and just say, we're not going to prosecute a murder case. And then if they're so obsessed with getting good press and looking responsible, they would have gotten good press. Now, would the O'Keefes be angry? Yes. Would some of the lunatics?
But they couldn't be if you were still going after that one single charge, though, in a way, right? I mean,
right. But I'm saying, if you dismiss the murder charge, would some of the crazy trolls go crazy? And yeah, but you know what? So what? There's like 10 of them, really. They're just very loud, obnoxious.
And they're the worst people. It's like,
So,
I think there's a bias sometimes with police officers if they
but
pull over a billionaire. They know that the billionaire
they
has
sound,
money and power. These people
but
don't.
they sound so loud because, what's the old expression? Like empty barrels make the most noise.
Yeah.
They're just so
They
loud.
have nothing. I mean,
Right.
yeah.
So, but you're the DA and you have to do what's right. And what's right is what ethically, morally, and professionally you think is the right use of your discretion, even if it means having unpleasant conversations with family members of someone who is killed. Those conversations happen all the time in other DA's offices. And the reality is the jurors acquitted her. Again, and forget publishing verdicts. I mean, they're telling you we acquitted her. Okay. I mean, how many times do you need to hear it when it's obvious they acquitted her? So move on.
It's not the judge that gets to determine what the jury's verdict is. It's the jury's decision and determination to decide what the verdict is. And it's an absolute injustice and disservice to a jury that are conducting their civic duty to deliberate after 8 weeks or 9 weeks of trial that taxpayers are footing the bill for, and then come back and just dump the whole thing as a simple mistrial. It's absolutely sickening and disgraceful.
It is, and it is for another reason too. You both, as well as I, know she's not going to get retried for murder, even if they're allowed to. You know that. You know eventually that even if they retry this case, which I don't think they will, but even if they do, even if all these charges are deemed hung, they're not going to retry her for murder. It's just not going to happen. Um, I don't think they're going to be able to retry any of the charges for other reasons that'll become evident over the course of the next several months. But wouldn't it be something if they win this issue legally and then all of a sudden say, forget it?
Morons. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Why would they go through that?
it's just they need adults in the room. I mean, in most DA's offices, somebody will step up to the plate who's experienced and say, what are we doing? And it's not just how do we look publicly, but you have to choose between right and wrong. And the jury clearly didn't like the murder case. The evidence of the alleged murder is very weak. And they're basically telling you she almost certainly was acquitted. You're making these arguments. You sound foolish. I mean, you're digging into this deeper and deeper, saying, well, we don't want the jurors to get coerced. And he basically called the jurors morons, right? Oh, well, they didn't check the box and they could have done this. And they're all watching this. And what do you think they're going to do? They're just going to talk more and more, because if she gets retried for murder, every one of those jurors, 12 out of 12, is going to make it clear that everyone knows we did not approve of this. Don't blame us. We acquitted.
Come on. I would love to have them on, or they could join the 3Ms. Like we could have them on every night during the retrial. That would be amazing.
I wouldn't be surprised at some point if they start going from speaking, I mean, look, obviously at least one is talking to Christina Rex, excuse me. You mentioned what may or may not be happening with Aiden.
Aiden's talking to one of them, yeah.
And would you be surprised if other ones look to other outlets as well to just kind of have a conversation about it? I wouldn't.
Give us a ring, jurors. We'd love to hear from you. We got some instant feedback, and this was a good one.
Mike, can I just have 30 seconds real quick? I just want to get in a point. If you don't mind, I apologize, Mike. I just want to thank you. This is echoing what's going on in Canton, okay, with the town's members trying to go to their select board and do the process the way it should be done. Go to the select board, raise the issues that they have, and then the select board shuts them down, and then they have to go to the media. This is the same exact thing that's happening to the jury. They're trying to go to the defense. They had their door, they answered their door. They try to go to the Commonwealth. They kept their doors locked. They try to do everything to the process that they should. And now basically, like you guys are alluding to, this is escalating itself into them having to go to the media now and go to the public and get this matter addressed. That's all I want to say. Thank you, Mike.
It's on their conscience. They're not going to let it go. They're not. I mean, wouldn't you be appalled if you were a juror who acquitted someone and then you found out they get retried for the same crime, particularly where the crime is murder, and you could potentially get life in prison? This is like, this is right out of Kafka. This
Yeah,
is
how many weeks did they spend? 8, 9, 10 weeks? I mean, it
Yeah.
was a lot of weeks that they
this is
spent on this.
Kafkaesque. I mean, this is crazy.
This is a good comment. Funny. Furious said, I watched a few minutes of Mass Hole Mafias live and heard Kevin, say he was going to try to send visuals to Lally to use during the next trial.
Microdotsie is not.
Can you imagine that? How bad? Let's talk
What
about
an ego, though. I mean, dude,
so. Sorry.
I know.
A retrial, contrary to what a lot of these people think, gets worse for the prosecution, particularly in this case. And let's just kind of take inventory of where you are. It's just been a month, right? Give or take. Okay, since the non-verdict or whatever we're calling it. In a month, this is what's happened. Okay. Proctor is basically toast. I mean, he's, for all intents and purposes, fired. Letters are flying off the presses to lawyers all across the place who represent cases in which he's, the case manager, because we don't call him lead investigator anymore, even though that's what they called him in all their paperwork, where he's damaged goods just beyond belief. His partner in crime, colloquially, and supervisor is under serious investigation. And as Todd told us the other night, he thought it was for something worse than just supervising text. I don't know what that means, but his supervisor is also under serious investigation. So in 1 month, you have every major state police trooper on this case is in deep shit. That's number one. You have letters going out about Proctor, right? You've got a Canton cop related to these people who's also suspended because he's a drunk who can't, hold on to his gun and badge, who is also hanging out with Proctor. And it's so bad, and there's so much disorganization and clutter going on that the guy who lives in the attic is now offering his services to the prosecutor. Now, we don't know if he's grifting. We don't know if he's charging, as a consultant here. That's not clear. But this guy has such an inflated view of his own value that he's going to give him tips. Now,
he's going to go on Fiverr and hire someone from India.
I would strongly suggest.
What, if any, visuals can you provide for me, Mr. Plovin?
Do not give him tips about how to deal with the ARCA people, because I know he thinks they're not credible. But let's let the DA deal with that. Don't give him any video clips, certainly, because Toyota Priuses and things are not the car at issue here. But that's how this is only a month into it, and this has become a full-fledged fiasco for these people, to the point where the online grifters, zombies, whatever they are,
the attic, the guy who lives in his attic,
talking in their own echo chamber and saying, Lally, like, I'm right here. Come get, like,
I'm the key. I could do worse than Lally.
If you want, what he ought to do is send him a copy of his summation. Of course, the only problem with that is even Lally would tell him that you can't sum up before the defense puts their case on. But those are small details.
So funny. It's just, I can't even believe that. I wonder why Masshole Mafia Kate said when he said that. Did she say, "Go, that's a great idea, Kevin"?
Don't know.
Kevin's like Ralphie in A Christmas Story when he thinks his teacher loves the story that he wrote, and she gets up there and is praising him. Oh, Ralphie, the story was so amazing.
Is he the kind of guy that would stick his tongue to the pole?
That's what I said. He stuck his tongue on the pole. He shot his eye out with a BB gun.
All right.
We're having too much fun on the attic guy. I don't know.
I think it was going to circle back so quickly to that, but I didn't know that.
Hey, our audience likes it.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
So I've had exclusive interviews now with Lunchbox, Lally, and Plovin. I just want to state that for the records. Oh boy.
A comment from Glamour Sue. She says, "Let's start a GoFundMe for crayons, colored pencils, construction paper, and string for Flevin." Seriously, we could, maybe some Play-Doh.
I was thinking wallpaper, but what do I know?
I maybe Mr. Potato Head. I don't know. This is just... So how long do you think that Bev Cano will sit on this before she makes a decision? What's your prediction?
I don't have a prediction, only because this is hard. It is unprecedented, and you're going to have to make a decision that she's going to have to put it in writing. This is one you have to reduce to writing, and it's going to be scrutinized by people like us, lawyers, analysts, appellate judges. So I would expect her to take her time, at least, from an analytical perspective, and make it as airtight, explaining what her reasoning is, but it's going to be the basis of an appeal. So, it could take her a little time. It may take a month or so. That's a guess, but this is not something you're going to see like tomorrow or next week.
Just looking at some of the comments today. Here's one. They said, "I hung out with Mark all day today." They must have been listening to you on Melanie Little, Luna's mom.
Yeah, no, we had a good conversation, good watching what was going on. It was a very interesting day.
Saw another question I'm trying to get back to. Oh, where is that question? 1 second here. Then they disappear. I can't find them again. Here it is. Can this motion go to a higher court if Bev denies it? Kirby wants to know.
Yeah, it will. I think we talked about that last week. Again, they tend to do the wrong thing just because that's what they do. If she grants this motion for the defense, at some point, Morrissey has got to step up and just say, okay, it's a manslaughter case. He's just asking for more trouble by appealing if they lose. And also, you want to be careful about, making bad law. If she rules against you, it's an opinion, but it's a trial court level opinion. It certainly has precedential value and can be persuasive, but it's not really binding on anyone else. If it's appealed and the appellate court rules, it becomes a more powerful precedent. And if you're in what they call the Supreme Judicial Court of Massachusetts, whatever their ruling is the law of the state. And, they may break new ground here. I mean, there are times where the law evolves because there's no precedent. And this may be one of those times. There is no precedent. Of course, generally, you don't want to haul jurors in. But what are you supposed to do when they're all saying, I swear to God, we acquitted. We didn't just know what we were supposed to do. And if she issues an opinion saying, I'm not even going to listen to that, I could see that getting reversed and saying the court should have held a hearing.
Are we going to commenting on Mark's attire tonight? Uh-oh. Where'd it go? They said the comment was that you wore a suit for Melanie Little, and they said, look at he's casual for Mike's show now.
Okay, so this came up earlier. It was kind of funny. I didn't know this, but before we started, Melanie told me offline before we started that they're betting in the comments, is today going to be a suit day or a hoodie day? But it was a suit day because I had meetings. So that's the common denominator. I would rather be in shorts, t-shirts, and hoodies 24 hours a day. I subscribe to, if you ever watched Billions, the Bobby Axelrod theory of effective work clothes, which is like this. Yeah. But, sometimes you have to do that. But I did make a joke and say, once, because I went on her show right after some meetings with a 3-hour window, that's dinner in a hoodie for sure.
We're not paying you to dress up. So
no.
That's the key, people. No one's paying him to dress up.
It's Friday night.
Yeah, it's Friday night.
Who possibly would want to be wearing a suit?
I like it because someone liked your sweatshirt tonight, Arizona State. You went to school there, right?
I I did. Although somebody was being a little nasty in the comments with this bear down Arizona crap, and we don't like that. It's okay. No, somebody clearly went to U of A.
Did you see any wrestling there? They got a good wrestling team.
They're very good wrestling out there. They were. I mean, I didn't really watch that, but no, they were a very high end wrestling school. I don't know if they still are, but
Definitely
people
were.
don't know this, but the Arizona State rivalry, it's nasty.
I bet.
Like, really, you wouldn't think. It's kind of like, it's not the kind of thing that you think of like, Florida State or any of that, but it's nasty out there.
Hardcore.
And I will, no pity for the kitty. That's somebody who knows ASU. It is worth noting, and then I'll move on, that, this year ASU and U of A, they left, there's no more Pac-10. So they went to the Big 12, which means, for those who know, the Rose Bowl historically was always the Big 10 and Pac-10 champions who played. And the University of Arizona now has the dubious historical record of being the only school in the history of the Pac-10 or Big 10 who never made it to the Rose Bowl.
Ooh.
So sorry about that.
Wow.
That's a tough one.
Yeah.
So what are they doing with the Rose Bowl now? Who
Rose
plays?
Bowl is now just part of what they call the BCS. They
Yeah. Yeah.
all the bowls now are just.
That's right. They changed it.
Mhm. Yep.
Is someone want Carla sent $20. Thank you so much, Carla. She asked, Mark, can you explain Rule 27? Had it on my list tonight, so that's a good question. Thank you, Carla.
Yeah, I mean, it talks, as I understand. I mean, I can pull it up too. It talks about verdicts and that it ought to be returned, and that the judge can take partial verdicts. And if there is a partial verdict, it should be taken, which is what Weinberg was mentioning. I mean, the issue here, from the DA standpoint, is that, well, there was no partial verdict, and of course, the defense is saying that there is. But if you look at Rule 27, it's in the comments, I believe. Hold on. It says, hold on. The judge may declare a mistrial as to any charges upon which the jury cannot agree, provided that the judge may first require the jury to return verdicts on those charges at which they can agree, and direct that such verdicts be recorded, which, in other words, is saying if the judge knew that there were partial verdicts, they ought to be entered. So I think the point being made is that the right thing to do would have been take a partial verdict, enter it. I mean, I wouldn't read too much. I think this rule is open to interpretation. When you factor in the comments, there's good language, maybe some ambiguous language, but the bottom line here, the real issue, I think, with this is it's not yet explained why the verdict was not noted to the court. And I think that's the purpose of a hearing. The jurors ought to explain that. And if it's credible, then you got a real problem here. If it's not credible, then hey, maybe the DA wins, but have the hearing, be honest. I mean, I keep going back to this. Why are they trying to shut the courthouse door in an acquitted defendant's face? Why not at least hear this out? I mean, they're going to retry. Here's the crazy thing. They can retry her anyway, right? Legally, if they want to, on the manslaughter charge. So it's not like they're going to lose a situation where they can't even retry her. They just are obstructing someone from having the right to show that she was acquitted on the most serious crime, in the penal law, or whatever they call it in Massachusetts, the criminal, whatever, same thing. And their position is, we don't really care. I mean, look at their demeanor today. He doesn't care. No concern at all that we may be committing a hideous miscarriage of justice, and we may in fact be attempting to retry her twice for the same crime for which she was acquitted. There was no sincere or genuine concern about that. We don't want to do that, but the answer is it didn't happen, so don't worry about it. What's for dinner? Oh, you're silenced.
What's for dinner? That's the only concern.
Buffalo chicken wings.
That seemed to be, as much a concern with the DA's office on this issue as much as anything else. I mean, they have no, they don't project it anyway, any genuine respect for the seriousness of the allegation. I mean, when they first made the allegation, they poo-pooed it. This is unfounded. This is nothing. More and more evidence comes in. Yeah, well, who cares? They wanted the mistrial. They didn't publish it. They're going to be coerced. They're just throwing mud at the wall, hoping something sticks, but they have no sincerity in purpose. They have no backbone. They have no interest in what's right and what's wrong. They're more interested in form over substance.
Yeah.
Nope,
I mean, you can basically point at the sky and say, that's the sun. Those are clouds. Those are trees right there. Do you agree? And it's just overlooked. They just don't, no matter how basic that they make it. You had Attorney Weintraub in court today basically saying everything to the letter of the law, this law and that law, this rule, whatever, all afternoon long. And it's just, I'm just anticipating, like everyone probably is, that she's going to release some kind of letter saying that she's ignoring this. And that's still my primary concern. I just feel like they're going to have to take this to the Supreme Court. And then finally a judge with sense in the Supreme Court will be able to just let this, let this thing finally go away.
They have an obsession with convicting Karen Read. I mean, it's fine to prosecute someone you believe is guilty and you believe the evidence supports it, but they can't possibly actually think that, can they? In light of what all the issues at the trial were and all this other stuff going on. I mean, they are obsessed with nailing her, but the evidence doesn't warrant it. The jury almost certainly acquitted on some of these counts, and they just can't let go. They latch on like a pit bull on anything and tug at the sleeve and just won't let go. And they look like fools. And worse than that, they don't look like serious prosecutors. And there's a crisis of confidence in that office anyway, and it just gets worse and worse. And then you add in the state police that work in the office with them, and you wonder why nobody thinks that they're being honest. I mean, they're not. They complain about being perceived as corrupt, but they keep doing this and making these arguments.
Got a couple more questions came in, and I'm not sure about this one. Asking any issues with the judge whispering that the jury verdict forms were never updated when Lally was giving his remarks.
I'm unaware of that. What are we talking about here?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
That's a problem. She's on a hot mic saying we never fixed the verdict form that Alan Jackson told us was going to confuse them and lead to exactly this problem?
Yeah, I would like more clarification on that. I wonder if the
That
chat knows anything
also
about it.
raises other dark concerns, which is how could that even happen? I mean, that's not the DA's fault, but I mean, how could the court staff not do what the judge instructed them to do? And how does that happen? And how do we get to the bottom of that? And again, if these questions can't be answered, then it should inure to the defendant's advantage. You can't do anything that's going to risk having her get tried twice for the same crime. So that, I don't know what that comment, where that came from. I know there was whispering you could hear today. I didn't know who it was or what they were saying, but that would be highly concerning if there was some hot mic of court staff acknowledging, yeah, we never did update the verdict form. That's not good if that's true.
Another question that came in, and everyone in the chat is saying that did happen today. They did hear.
Heard exactly that.
I guess so. That's what people are saying. They're saying hot mic, but so
that's
interesting.
I don't know.
I don't know either. I didn't hear it either. Here's another question for Mark. Why did the defense, when the verdict was announced at mistrial, not ask about charges 1 and 3?
It's a fair question, and I think that, let's be fair, after a hearing when there's legal argument, the DA would be in an appropriate position to make that argument. But again, is that a form or substance argument? I mean, the bottom line is, what sane prosecutor, without saying, aha, you didn't object, aha, is focused on that rather than, oh my God, they actually did acquit her, but so what? Blame it on Jackson. We'll just go back and do it again. you can't err on the side of form arguments that the defense didn't do this. It's just you're talking about, and this is what Weinberg was saying. It's a fundamental constitutional right. It's double jeopardy. It's like one of the most sacrosanct things in the American criminal justice system. You get one shot. You can't just keep trying someone because you want to get them. That's not how it works. And that's got to be the primary focus here. If the evidence is overwhelming that she was acquitted, that's got to control. And any prosecutor who takes a form argument over that amounts to nothing more than, well, you could have said something. If it's actually proven that there was in fact an acquittal, well, shame on them. That's not doing the right thing.
Thank you, JFK, for the super chat. Check out his new video and song on JFK Show Off at JFK Show Off on his YouTube channel. He's got a great new Karen Reed song. Have you seen that, Maz? Have you guys seen that? No?
Not yet. I'm about to check it out. I love JFK. He's the man.
Out. Yeah, he put together a video. It was like part of he used microdots in the video, and it's an original song. It's about Karen Reed. It's amazing to see artists stepping up and making songs about this. So thank you, JFK, for the comment tonight. We also get Track Worker says Bev is in the conspiracy. People don't trust Bev. I mean, this is a good one. Massachusetts, the double jeopardy state. I don't want to see that on a license plate. That's what Zencat says.
She's got to be aware of something, which is this case, it's a national case, international even, and it has been a disaster for how it represents the Massachusetts criminal justice system for 20 different reasons. And if after all the crazy that's already happened, this becomes a situation where the public believes that an acquitted defendant for murder is about to be retried for murder because for whatever reason, even though the jurors are chopped, now they're officially saying, bring us in. What is that going to do for the public confidence in the criminal justice system in that state? The state police are already, under attack. Morrissey is, getting crushed, certainly in the Boston Herald on a basically daily basis for everything. I mean, how much more can anyone take? But I don't think this judge is going to want to go down in history as being the first judge who basically authorized, trial by 24 jurors. Okay. It's not something I would want. That's not a good look. But I also, when you say she's part of a conspiracy, she wasn't nice to the defense at trial, but that's not unique. Do people really believe that if she thought that Karen Reed was acquitted of murder, that I'll show her because I don't like her, that I'll just say the hell with it and keep it? Now, if that were the case, that would be an entirely corrupt act. That would be. But are we really at the point where we think the judge is going to try to get someone she knows was found not guilty and convict her because I don't like her? Or does she hate the system and wants everyone to get convicted? I mean, I think we're going too far.
I don't believe this, but I think that most people that believe that Bev is in on it, they think that she's connected to the McAlberts. That's why they think that she might.
Why though?
That way.
In on it how? I'm going to help you jam up.
I don't buy it. I don't buy it. I just think what you said. I think it makes so much sense. She's just bad at her job. Some people just aren't good at their job.
If she's in on it, okay, and has an alliance with, I mean, this to me is ridiculous, but has an alliance with some of these people, then why did she allow 90% of the trial to be Alan Jackson and David Yannetti taking a baseball bat proverbially over the head of the Alberts and McCabe's and just pound them on a daily basis about how, involved in this? I mean, as opposed to just, I'm not going to allow it. She made some bad rulings. She didn't get along with them. Doesn't make her corrupt.
I agree.
I'm sorry, it doesn't.
but you're not going to convince a lot of
I
people
know,
listening,
and listen,
unfortunately.
I'm
It's just-
gonna
Go ahead, Mazza.
be the alternative. I'm gonna
Mazza's
speak
gonna
from
go
an
take the other
I'm
side.
gonna be the guy on the opposite side here. She's given us, and I this is not to disagree with you, Mark, or argue.
we
It's
can
just that
disagree.
ultimately, I just feel like this woman has not earned our trust, and this is now whether or not are anybody's theories out there are true, false, over exaggerated, or plausible. I still think that this woman has not earned our trust, where she's done nothing but make us breed suspicion that this is a judge that ultimately, I don't believe she's directly connected to the McAlberts either, of course not. But I don't know what her affiliations are with people such as the DA's office, for example, and if she's I don't know. But I would say this: she has not earned public trust to the point where people out there are starting to theorize these kind of things, because it seems like when you look at everything that's happened here and how outrageous everything's been along the way, and then we finally get in the courtroom, and now we're basically seeing a battle with the judge, and Karen Reed laughs and she snaps at Karen Reed. She's not earning public trust, and even though she may be just a lousy judge, perhaps, it's still to the point where it gets to, you can't help but just sit there and say, is she at some point trying to kick the can down the road? Is she, and especially if she comes back and says, I'm not going to dismiss counts 1 and 3 at that particular point, I mean, there's going to be more reasons to suspect her being suspicious ever. And I just want to give that viewpoint. But I just, like I said, I feel like at the end of the day, she hasn't earned the public's trust. And the way that trial ended has only made people want to vilify her more and have theories about her affiliations more.
But I don't think her job is to earn the public trust. In fact, if as a judge, if you're trying to earn the public trust, that's actually a bad thing, because now you're starting to get potentially skewed by public opinion and
Well, I don't mean it that way. I don't mean that it's her job to earn the public trust. I mean that based on the job that she's doing independently as a judge within her own merit, as sitting in the courtroom, she hasn't the public does not trust her. I'll word it that way. The
I
public just
think
doesn't trust the
clearly
job
they
she's doing.
don't. I agree
Yeah,
with you.
yeah.
But I don't know from a judge's standpoint that either A, they care about that, or B, should. I mean, they should
I mean,
judge.
normally I would agree with you, but Mark, with the amount of eyeballs on this, shouldn't they care a little bit? I mean, especially with what's at stake. I mean,
Well,
Massachusetts
yeah,
does
I
not
mean, it's
look good lately.
and look, I think she made a lot of rulings that were bad. And you cited the example of yelling at her during the jury issue. And yeah, that I thought that was inappropriate. I thought, her rulings, what was it, with respect to the harassment evidence, I thought was ridiculous. You may or may not remember this, but the day of the inverted video fiasco, we were talking about it that night, and I said, what I really want to see tomorrow morning is the judge, before the jury
Pissed
comes
off.
out and before we start, say, what the hell happened in my courtroom yesterday? And I want answers. And she didn't. I get it. I don't agree with a lot of things that she does. I totally understand why people think she may be biased, but I know I'm repeating myself, but we see that all the time in case after case after case. This just happens to be one that's, on everyone's radar and whatever. But I just look at her and say, I've seen judges like her all the time. It doesn't phase me in the least. It's just the way judges tend to be. I mean, and that's how 90% of the judges in Manhattan are probably worse. Worse in the sense of more rigid and, some would say more prosecution biased or whatnot. And you just have to adapt, and you do. She did issue some things in favor of the defense, not a lot. Do I think she's a great judge for the defense? No, but I just, to this day, have not seen a single example to say, you know what, there's proof of corruption. That's all.
Got a great question from Alf, I think in Switzerland. Alf says, does the court have to accept Trooper Paul as an expert on VCH
No.
tech stream
So
data?
this is an interesting question, which one could say, here's another, well, the judge didn't do something right. Full disclosure, I don't know what the defense did pre-trial with their motions. we saw this actually the day I was in court. They wanted to challenge some of his credentials. I don't know if they made a motion to basically disqualify him as an expert and ask for a full-fledged voir dire and then argue, Your Honor, this man's not qualified. Okay, he clearly was not qualified. I mean, you first of all, I don't even think the DA, as crazy as they are, as bad as their judgment is, would ever use Trooper Paul again. But the bottom line is, if the defense were to say we demand a hearing before the trial starts and Trooper Paul gets called in outside the presence of the jury and gets cross-examined the way, I mean, I was in court the day where Jackson just killed him. And this is without the jury. I mean, he just annihilated him. It was a preview of what was coming. No sane judge would ever say, I'm going to allow that man to be qualified as an expert. The only thing that he was qualified to be an expert in was gobbledygook. I mean, he was as awful as it gets. So I don't think you'll see him in the second trial. And if he tried to testify, I would expect the defense to move to exclude him. And the real question is, if the DA is going to retry the case, the only way I can even see them doing it is if they find an expert on a peer level of ARCA people who not only just contradicts them, because again, a tie goes to the defense, that's still going to be reasonable doubt, who blows them out of the water and says, those guys don't know what they're doing. And that's just not going to happen. And the reality is, at a retrial, when the ARCA guys testify, this time the defense is going to say, well, would it have helped if you saw the taillight? Would it have helped if you saw all this? And they're going to say no. And they're going to explain why it doesn't matter, which actually is going to make them even more credible because they're going to explain it in detail. So unlike, dummies in the attic, they just don't, he doesn't belong in this conversation because he just,
but logic, he's very logical,
but he doesn't understand how this works. And he's out of his depth. Okay. And I don't know what he does for a living or why he's an expert, but he's out of his depth. And I don't mean that you have to be a lawyer, but the bottom line is the ARCA guys are going to be even stronger at a retrial because all this is going to come out and they're going to explain it and they're going to look at the jury and explain why those taillight pieces don't matter, which is only going to lead the jury to conclude one thing. Somebody put them there unnaturally. And at that point, that's it, right?
I think Todd was kind of hinting towards that the other night.
Yeah, no, look, he gets it. And that's, anybody who loses faith in honest police officers, particularly from that agency, Todd is your saving grace to say there is good.
People were suggested that he should be running the Canton Police Department or the state police.
It's funny when he was talking about his business the other night, and we were talking about, whether they ought to be taken over and whatnot, or audited, and or at least have a systems analyst come in and make recommendations. You know what? I thought about that. I'm like, I don't know if that's exactly what he does.
Yeah.
But if they put together like a blue ribbon panel of people to kind of look at this, he would be the first guy I would think of, especially he knows the agency literally.
Exactly.
He would be great for that.
Maybe he'll help them to do the audit. They're going to be looking for some proposals for the audit right now. Canton.
He also has that personality where, it's impossible not to like and respect him.
Exactly.
He carries the gravitas and he would be good. I agree.
Another question. Actually, you got some props from someone from who's going to ASU. They just enrolled.
All right.
So Brad wanted to say, what's up?
I'd rather be in Tempe. What's the temperature in Tempe right now? It's got to be probably 100 degrees. And
you'd rather be there right now at 100 degrees?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, really? I don't like the rain today, but I like that it's been cooler. Yesterday was cool.
And I've been gone from Tempe for a while, but now, I go back a few years ago and like 2 minutes from campus, there's an In-N-Out burger. It's like
In-N-Out burger. Now you're talking.
Can't beat that.
right there.
I like the burgers.
That's all you need.
Yeah, that would be bad actually, but you know,
Yeah.
it's yeah, no, I love
I'm
it.
all about that.
Yeah.
The food.
You know what? You go out in the desert and you get away from the light pollution, and I don't know if you know anything about constellations and stars. You can't even recognize them because there are so many stars. You know, you go out in the middle of the desert, it's clear as can be, and it's the whole sky is just covered in like clusters of stars.
I notice that when I go up, like up north, up to New Hampshire, up the White Mountains. You look up, you're just like, holy shit.
Yeah,
You don't see
out
that.
there,
in
there's
that-
like no
yeah,
clouds. You know, like
exactly.
50 days a year. It's just like literally blue sky.
Here's a question: what's it take to get the McAlberts investigated?
Well, I guess the first question is by whom? It's not
Yeah.
going to be by the state, obviously, and I mean we know that a lot of them testified in the federal grand jury. We have reason to believe that maybe something is still going on. So presumably, some of them are under investigation. But what does that mean? We don't know.
I don't know.
It's not going to be investigated for what you want it to be. It's not. No one's ever going to get convicted for John O'Keefe's killing, not directly. It's just never going to happen. It's unfortunate, but that's never going to happen.
Tammy's got a question. Another one for Mark. Mark, weren't the original rules by the jury if not guilty on number one, then lesser charges were going to be mute?
Well, the lessers relate to count 2, so which is what they got all confused about. And I guess if you read some of the affidavits, it appears that they had disagreements about some of the lesser included. So they weren't even directly on the top count of manslaughter in count 2. They were all hung up on some of the possible lessers in that. So
Excellent. I'm
mess.
glad we could clear that one up.
Yep.
There's something about fanning. What are they saying here?
Alternate and remove jurors.
Yeah, I guess they just wanted maybe us to comment on the fanning stuff. I mean, I don't feel like we know enough. I mean, it's definitely problematic if he was in contact with the jurors, is my opinion. What do you guys think?
Well, the report came out, you know, which is interesting and concerning, but it's not enough to act upon yet. You know, this came up when we were talking about this a little bit on Melanie's thing earlier. I mean, the defense is not going to file any motions on fanning just based upon what came out yesterday. You would look into it and see where it goes. But the real issue is this, and this is just another example of you want to bang your head against the wall with just how awful the state police are, in particular, the unit in the Norfolk DA's office. So why would this guy Fanning, and I don't know that he did anything inappropriate, by the way. I have no knowledge to say he did or didn't do anything, but he was on the witness list. Okay. He works in the Norfolk DA's office as the supervisor, right, in that unit, which means he's got Tully, Buchanan, and Proctor underneath him. He works with them. He communicates with them. He's on some of those god-awful text messages, I believe. Why is that guy anywhere in the courtroom within 100 yards of the jurors for any reason other than sitting on the witness stand under oath giving testimony if somebody saw fit
Exactly.
to do that? It's just there's no reason. And I don't know what he was doing or not doing, and I'm not accusing him of anything, but there's no reason for this conversation to even be happening. What is he doing in the building? It's just another one of these obvious conflicts, apparent conflicts, appearance of conflicts, and it just keeps happening. And everything they do, they have to blow up that whole unit. I mean, they have to physically remove
fumigate. I love that word when you use fumigate it.
I mean,
that's what they need to do. They need to start over.
So much scandal in the state police out of that office in this trial. And, you know, one of the other kind of comments I made on Melanie's thing, which was tongue in cheek, but I think it's true. You have all these problems with state troopers coming out of that office or supervisors. I mean, if you said, is one of them more likely to go to prison or Karen Reed? I would say one of them.
Yeah, definitely. I would
I mean,
pick them.
I'm serious.
I mean,
And I'm
it's
not saying
funny
the
too.
odds are
Like,
high, but
I
they're
don't. Yeah,
higher.
yeah. I mean, it's. I think Mazza said this. I'm not sure. Somebody said this on the show recently, noting that like since Karen Reed has been arrested, you haven't seen any fights. You haven't seen any like all the
Yeah, I said
drama
that.
with the McAlbert.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I said that. You haven't seen any of that. Yeah, no.
I mean, I picked the McAlberts to get arrested again over Karen Reed too.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's what I said about Karen. It's like you if you look at someone's history, like look at Karen Reed prior to that night. Look at Karen Reed after that night. There's been no incidences at
Well,
all.
you know what was reported a couple of weeks or months ago? It was reported that they tried to indict her for witness tampering, and we were told they failed. So again, they latch on. If you recall, they tried to argue that there was consciousness of guilt evidence based upon what they accused someone else of doing, that somehow was her consciousness of guilt, even though there's no evidence that she did anything. They are obsessed with trying to get her, and it's just a terrible look. It's not going to happen, I don't believe, and they're getting themselves in trouble based upon their tunnel vision and overzealous behavior in connection with the case. I mean, look at this. Proctor ruined his life over being obsessed with trying to get Karen Reed. I mean, was it worth it?
Yeah. I mean, it continues too. Like you said, they're so obsessed. I think it's just because she's made them look bad. Now they want to punish her. Like that's the real. She stood up to them.
Yeah, no, I mean it's just unbelievable, and they're going to keep going, and he's just going to, or they are going to keep looking more and more foolish because they had their best shot. They took their best shot. Contrary to the attic dwellers again and others, it's not going to get better.
Yeah.
It's
Especially now
already
everyone knows she was found not guilty. I
right.
mean, that's helping her too.
You're
And
only a month. You're only a month into the verdict or non-verdict, and it's already gotten immeasurably worse. You have 3 state troopers who are in deep doo-doo. Okay, you have Brady letters flying around.
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah. How is this going to get
not
better?
good.
It's just going
Yeah,
to get worse. You're
yeah.
right. I mean, it's
It's
just going
not
to continue.
good.
There's going to be more scandals coming out too. Like
No, for sure.
I got my fingers crossed on something. I just, threw in some info to somebody and I'm just praying it turns into something big. You know what I mean? Because I just feel like there's so many journalists out there like that right now you just never know like what's going to be under the next rock. Like something's going to happen. I just feel it. Like because that's what's been happening. Like journalists are turning over rocks and they're finding stuff. So we'll see what happens.
It's gonna get worse. I mean,
Yeah.
how possibly? I mean, as a matter of common sense, how is it going to get better? Are they going to find a mystery witness from the witness store who says I saw her do it and she confessed? Short of that, what are they doing here?
Now, Romy's saying Fanning wasn't on the witness list. I thought he was. I've seen that in dispute actually the last couple of days. I'm wondering actually.
Oh, we'd have to check, but I thought he was on the defense witness list. But
Yeah.
the point remains the same. He's involved in the homicide unit, supervising these people, the text messages, they're his guys. There's no reason for him to be in the courtroom unless he's under oath on the stand. That's all.
Shouldn't the court staff take care of that over the state police who are like scandal?
Yeah, I mean, I understand because of all the publicity that they had multiple agencies outside, lots of state troopers were part of the security apparatus and whatnot. But again, those guys aren't in the Norfolk homicide squad. There's no reason for Fanning to be involved in anything in this case other than testifying or staying in the office.
I do not see him
Not
on the witness list at all. I looked this up on NBCBoston.com. I don't see that he was listed as a police witness.
That's fine. I mean, it doesn't. The point remains that was just one.
That definitely does remain. I mean, it's why have Norfolk County involved there with the jurors? That's it. It should Norfolk County. They recused themselves on the Aiden stuff. They should recuse themselves on having any influence on the jurors in this.
DA recused themselves. The state police are,
yeah,
their conflict on the other case is off the charts.
That's the problem.
They have 2 witnesses in that case who are alleged victims. and it's being investigated by them, including by one of the victims. I mean, that is as flagrant a conflict as you'll ever find.
Big time. Should mean the case gets dropped. But this is Massachusetts. DJ says the brothers Mike, Mark, and Mazza see you tomorrow night, and Mazza on the 24th. Rock on. Yes, I've got to be a guest tomorrow night at 7 p.m. on DJ's show.
Oh, yeah, that's tomorrow, right?
Yes, tomorrow night.
Right.
Tomorrow night at 7. And Mazza, I guess you're going to be on there on the 24th.
24th. Yeah. Yep. I'll be on there later in the month. So I know I think you guys are going on with Peter Murphy as well tomorrow. He's going to be on that show, I think.
And give her the shout out.
And who else?
Nurse Kim.
Nurse Kim.
Oh,
right?
Nurse Kim. Yes.
Is she one of your favorites now?
A big fan.
You're a big fan. Wow.
Come on, why not? Of course.
So yeah, I mean, she's got a crush on you, apparently.
Oh.
I mean, is your wife watching this? Is she gonna get in trouble?
No.
No, your wife doesn't.
No, she watches some. Not she. You know, she tries to keep.
She's cool. She trusts you.
Yeah, of
All
course.
Right, here's another question that comes in. Mark, can Karen travel outside of Massachusetts?
I have no idea what her bail restrictions are. Probably, but that's a guess. I don't. You'd have to ask her lawyers. I have no idea.
No idea. What if someone's trying to get her to travel? Maybe they're doing a fundraiser or something. If you want to support Karen Reed, you can definitely do so. FreeKarenReed.net if you want to make a donation to her defense fund. You can also donate to the Turtle Boy Defense Fund too. Just do a Google search. You'll find it right away. It's Give, Send, Go is the platform he uses. Turtle Boy Defense Fund. It will pop right up. Mazza, you haven't talked in a while. You have anything that you want to get off your chest or
Yes.
comment on?
I would like to thank everyone that participated in booing Adam Lally as he walked into the courthouse today. That was very fun and exciting. I do have the footage of that. I'm going to get that uploaded later tonight, hopefully. And it was funny. He walked in, you just hear this wave of boo, boo, Lally. It was pretty funny. He just walks in, like, you can tell he's so affected by it, but he's trying to tune it out at the same time. It was really funny. And our supporters out there today were amazing. Honestly, I didn't even have much time I had the phone up to my ear trying to listen in, but I only caught some of it. So what I do is when I take my hour drive back, that's usually bogged down even more by traffic, I just play it in the vehicle. And I enjoyed Weintraub. I thought he did a great job today. I think he's a very good attorney from a technical level. He seems to have everything well organized. The way he presented himself was extremely great. In my particular opinion, and I think he's a great addition to Karen Reed's defense team. And I think just that he kept emphasizing double jeopardy today was a great thing. That to me was the biggest takeaway. And Lally again today, just trying to dismiss certain things, being dismissive of it. It's just I liked how Weinberg kind of made the comment that I hope that the prosecutor Adam Lally will join me and just kind of vindicating the voices of the jurors. I thought that was a great statement to kind of really reach across the aisle. But even though Adam Lally is probably not going to bite ever, I think it's still important to kind of say, are we attorneys or are we true lawmen here that serve in courtrooms, or are we just going to be doing what we're doing to try to throw an interesting, a framed woman behind bars here? And I thought Weinberg did a great job today. I'm very excited to have him on the team. Saw him outside today. He was shaking hands with people. One woman had actually known him from way back, and they talked briefly. He was very friendly, and he seems like he's a great addition. Those are definitely my thoughts. And I'm very intrigued to see what Auntie Bev's going to come back with on this. I'm very, very concerned that she's not going to dismiss counts 1 and 3. And I won't believe it till I see it at this particular point, because just the tendencies that I've seen over the past year from this judge still concern me and still really don't give me confidence that, she's going to rule. And I'm just concerned they're just going to keep trying to keep this on Karen and never waver on that and do everything they can to keep the pressure on her. And like many people have alluded to, really trying to bleed her pockets out. And one of the people on the other side on X months ago said, oh, we're not all going to be there. Alan Jackson's not going to be back and she's not going to be able to get the money again. And I kind of vocalized that today. We're not going anywhere. We're going to continue to support Karen Reed. If we have popcorn fundraisers, we're buying popcorn. If we have, if you can donate to her fund right now, please go right ahead. We're going to continue to back Karen Reed, back her family, back each other. is another important thing. So we're going to continue with that. We're not going to give up. We're going to continue to endure this for the long haul, and we ain't got no quit.
Excellent. I guess someone from Boston 25 said it was 50-50 on supporters today. That was a comment that was just made. It
No,
wasn't Ted Daniel that reported
no
that.
way.
So
We
yeah, I
had
know.
we had a majority of our supporters on the registry of deeds, and we had a whole nother portion of supporters to the right of the stairway, and they were to the left of the stairway. They probably had about, I had a source that told me it was about 26, 27 of them, and we had already had a majority of probably 20, 30 more than that on the right side of the stairs alone, not including the 40, 50 people we had standing on the stairs and all over the sidewalks. They had a decent showing. I mean, it's good to see people that have that viewpoint actually show up at court. If they care so much, they should have been showing up a year ago. But we had probably, we must have, at one point, we must have had well over 100 people, compared to their, I think 27, 28 was the count that I heard today. But it was these media outlets. What are they even talking about? Are they looking around and actually counting these people and getting an idea of it? It's a joke. It's unreal.
Yeah, I mean, you could easily see that there was much more free Karen Reed people. I don't know how.
The
anyone
funniest part,
makes that
one
up.
of the funniest parts of the day was, I won't say his name on air. I want to keep it quiet, but one of our good friends walked over to the blue section, the blue shirts section, and stood among them and looked over at the registry of deeds and started waving to us from the blue shirts section. He had his free Karen Reed shirt. We were rolling. That was funny. And they were glaring at us all day. I mean, like Kim Fair was over there. She had her phone out. They're like filming me. Someone told me, she goes, yeah. Someone goes, oh, she was just filming you. Yeah.
She's taking names for the Christmas cards and the
Oh
lawsuit.
yeah. Oh yeah. They're all looking over at us,
Getting
filming
the
us,
lawsuit.
filming us. Yep. So me and Brian from LTL started waving at him from time to time and just saying hello and all that stuff. The funniest part too is when Turtle Boy walked out of court. To that, like that to him. That was funny. That was a riot. But can
you imagine that you spend time on people you hate, that you'll drive out from, say, like North Shore, Massachusetts to Dedham just because you don't like them? I mean, that's really, it's not really about, I don't care what they say. It's not about supporting John O'Keefe. This is about, they hate Turtle Boy.
I think the hate
they do,
drives their day-to-day existence. It's what they do. Their full-time job is hating people.
I've never hated anyone to drive an hour. I've never, like, you know what I mean? Like, I can't even, like, even office stuff, politics. It's like, you can't, I don't know. I mean,
Turtle Boy was roasting them in the middle of his megaphone speech today, and he made the comment. He goes, "They don't want justice for John O'Keefe. They just hate me." And anybody that wants justice for John O'Keefe is wearing a pink shirt or is standing on that side of the courthouse or is standing across the street, and that's that. That's an absolute fact.
It feels like the old George Costanza joke. What did he used to say? Like, I can't be happy unless I'm miserable. Like that's the only
there are people like that. Clearly are.
They live on Twitter
Misery
or whatever and just harass, hate, mock, and then, like you said, drive a couple hours to do what?
Yeah, I can't. See, I'm the opposite. I can't be happy when I'm miserable. I mean, that's like, I think most people, right? When you're miserable, you can't be happy. But
yeah, right.
I mean,
oh, Mike, by the way, I was like your personal voicemail attendant today. Everyone was asking me, is Mike here? Is Mike here? Is Mike here?
Oh, boy, I'm sorry.
That's okay. I'm like, man, he's not here. You're busy. You're busy with your day job.
When I go out, I get the same thing for you and Bederow, actually.
They're both, right.
Like, is Mazza here? Is Bederow here? It's so funny. They just associate all of us together now.
Yeah. Right.
We always know where each other are.
Oh yeah, I know. There was one day I knew exactly where Mark Bederow was, and I wasn't even in Dedham that day. But I was in Dedham that day, and I got tipped off of his whereabouts, and you remember that. So yeah. So I'll talk to you on the side about that. That was one day where I was at court, and it was the day before you were there, actually, and I knew it was you were coming in or something. So I had some inside sources say we're seeing Bederow, so just to hang out. So, but yeah. Mark, you're the man, Mark. You got so many positive compliments today, and they have nothing but great things to say about you and Mike. The same
I'm sure
thing.
in the next several months, I'm going to be getting a lot of compliments.
Oh yeah, I always say Mark Bederow is the man, and I love him to death. And I'm so happy that he's taken the defense, joining the defense team for Turtle Boy, because you're doing a great job. And
It's in
we
process.
appreciate you. Yeah, I always say one thing is I mean, I think you're the most awesome person in the world. But my favorite thing about you is that you're someone that's kind of participated in the social media commentary about this case, and you're giving us day to day. As an expert, as an active attorney, you're able to give us like active feedback on everything that you see. And I absolutely love that, because it's been so beneficial for us and just as supporters to have an attorney with your level of expertise to be able to say, well, based on my experience, this is how I see what happened today. And I absolutely appreciate you for that, Mark.
Who knew real estate law could be so interesting?
That's right. Yeah. I'm just a real estate attorney.
No, I appreciate that. Thank you. No, it's
You're welcome. Yeah.
It's fascinating subject matter, and it's people are engaged. They want to know what's going on, and it's good. People should be engaged. They should know more about the legal system. You don't have to be a lawyer, but they should see how it works. And the more light you shine on this stuff, the better it is. I mean, imagine what this case would be if people didn't know about it. Imagine what other kind of stuff goes on in Norfolk County, like,
Exactly.
behind the curtain, so to speak, for people who, may not have the means for this kind of representation, or the case may not be this sexy because of, just what the facts and the individuals involved are. So it's important, because now people are going to have a very different view of anything that happens in that county with the state police. I mean, and that's a service. That's good.
And I know the Glare, he's in the chat tonight. And I know he said this on his own shows before, that a lot of times you've validated a lot of reactions he's had to things. I feel the same way, and I'm sure, Mike, you do too. It's great. It's very reassuring when you sit there as a person that's not actively an attorney or whatever, that's sitting here watching this stuff and saying, this isn't right. This doesn't seem right. And then we have an attorney such as yourself able to validate that what your opinion is and how you're seeing this is accurate. It's not an illusion.
What you're seeing in this case is not right. It is not normal, and it is not generally what you want to see from a DA's office. It is not what you want to see from a police department. You could go on and on. This is entirely anything but normal with everything going on here. So that's for sure.
I have just a personal opinion to give about what's going on in the chat right now, and that I would say that I prefer the Glare and Melanie Little than the Glare and Kim Fair as a hosting duo on air. So there's some joking around about Glare's joking around about Kim Fair right now, and everyone's like, he's better on air with Melanie Little.
That would be, what, if you wanted to do like A+ grifting, if you could get Will and Kim Fair to bury the hatchet, and they could charge pay-per-view, I'd watch that.
Right.
I don't think I could. I really don't think
I would.
Jeez. Oh, have you listened to her voice?
No.
No, I couldn't listen to that. No,
my interactions were very limited in the early stages. I commented on something that she said, which I didn't even know who she was, and I just said, "This is one of the dumbest things I've ever."
It's like
worst
voice.
Nobody warned me what I was walking into. Nobody warned me what I was walking into, because wow, it came fast.
Oh,
I mean, Kate, you could say KP's crazy and all that, but she's not like as dumb like a Kim Fair. Kim Fair is like not a smart person.
I mean, I try not to engage with a lot of these people.
Yeah.
I've never had any interaction with the one you just mentioned.
The other one.
Oh yeah, no. She was after me one time online, like, I'm gonna get sued for this, sued for that, go to jail for this, go to jail for that. And I'm just like,
you're gonna get a lawsuit.
Someone said, "Who is Kim Fair?" Kim Fair is someone who sits on the internet. She has what is it, the Andy Dufresne or whatever, and she threatens that on the behalf of Chris Albert and Jennifer McCabe that she's going to sue everybody. She's insane. She's just someone that trolls everybody on the Free Karen Reed side. She has no life, and she's someone who got fired from her job as a teacher's aide for telling a veteran that she wished they unalived themselves when she was a teacher's aide at a public school. Aiden wrote about it, and that's why she hates anything to do with Aiden.
Yep.
And instead of looking at like, hey, maybe I should not write crazy stuff on the internet and get fired from jobs, she blames it on Aiden. It's like no personal responsibility.
Mm.
But that's who these people are. It's they're not the best people. You know, it's fun. I mentioned this earlier. Like, I think there is a bias with some police officers if they pull over somebody who like runs the town. Like, I even saw this in my local town. My friend, his family basically ran the town. So anytime we were with him, cops generally let him go because they don't want trouble with the contracts. And you need someone to do some work in the town. You don't shit where you live, kind of. And I think there's a bias with some police officers where they won't go after the powerful. This group of people, these crusty, this crusty crew, I'll call them, are the opposite of that. Nobody there's not one person that has any status within them. They're just like the worst people. They really are.
Mike, there's a post that just came out on X. It's an auto-generated summary of this show right now. And Sushi posted it. I'm going to read this. This is hilarious. And Mark, you're going to love this. Auto-generated experiment chat summary. Viewers in the chat are reacting to a murder trial between Mark and Lally. Mark is a prosecutor while Lally is the defense attorney. Viewers have crushes on Mark and want to know when he will make a decision as well as what the verdict will be. That's the summary that's on the show right now.
ChatGPT is lagging today. It's going to have to figure out what's going on.
Wow.
Hey, ChatGPT, it's a Karen Reed trial. And this isn't the trial. This is a hearing, ChatGPT. The AI, it's not as good as people think.
My prosecutor days are way, way behind me. Long time ago.
Well, I mean, isn't Lally technically a defense attorney though, because he's defending, the Commonwealth and the McAlberts from,
It's what it felt like to some extent.
Right.
Certainly did.
Right.
People are having a good laugh about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's interesting. I mean, I remember talked about this months ago, but somebody pulled up an old article where they were giving Lally an award for like prosecutor of the year in Norfolk County or whatever. And that award is named after my late cousin, who used to be a senior prosecutor a long time ago. He's been deceased for a long time. But he was a very high-end prosecutor in the Norfolk DA's office. And I had no idea that there was an award. I mean, I don't live there anymore. And I had no idea that there was an award in his name. And when somebody said, "Hey, did you see Lally won an award?" I'm like, I'm not really thinking about Lally, right? I'm like, wow, the award is named after him. And that was so weird.
What year was that he got the award,
A long time ago. Somebody posted this, I mean, months ago, maybe like 2011 or 12. It's quite some time ago.
They should take it back.
But I mean, my cousin, it was, I guess, my mother's cousin, really, right? I mean, he's a generation above me. He's probably been deceased since like the mid 90s, I would say. But yeah, they named it after him.
Now the chat wants to know, who is the award named after?
His name was Tim Spillane.
Tim Spillane?
Mm-hmm.
There you go. You got your answer.
Yeah.
This is your chance. If you have any questions for any of us tonight, drop them in the chat right now. Do you have any final thoughts or comments tonight, Mazza? Anything that we didn't touch on?
Yeah, I'll just summarize just my experience outside today. It was great. It was amazing just to see, Karen in person again today, passing by as she walked into court, and seeing her family and her wonderful cousin, the greatest cousin of all time, who's often watches this show, and just getting to see everybody again. It's been a long time. I hadn't been out there since July 1st, the final day of the trial. It is horrible that we have to continue to go there for the purposes of seeing Karen have to fight for her freedom, but at the same time, it's always one of the redeeming factors of it is that you get to spend the day with people that are very wonderful and amazing people. There's so many great people that I've met today, and many of them I hadn't met before. And there were two people that drove in from Chicago today to be there. A woman had flown in from Florida just to be there today, and just shout out to them. They had reached out to me and told me they're big fans of this show and everyone that's on it. So I was overwhelmed that they had driven in from Chicago. I had someone, a great man I've talked to many times, and his wife come to me and say, "Hey, meet these people from Chicago." They drove in. I walked right over to them, talked with them for a few minutes, took some pictures and all that, and it was a great time. This is a great atmosphere of people, and we're all very much on the same wavelength with one another, and assuring Karen's freedom is assured and ultimately determined. And it's always amazing. I see Michelle in the comments. She's awesome. Half Hammer, all these wonderful people, and everyone's so friendly and outgoing and awesome with one another. And Dina walked by me today. She's like, "Make sure you keep drinking water." I'm like, you've been monitoring my water intake all day, Dina? But Dina was awesome today. When she was on that megaphone, she was spitting fire all afternoon. And then she goes, "I'm done." Then she grabbed the megaphone again, spoke some more, absolutely tore it up. It was absolutely awesome. Dina, shout out to you. Turtle Boy today was Turtle Boy at his finest once again, absolutely just saying what needed to be said. It was a great day. The weather was great. I mean, it was hot, but the wind was solid enough to kind of cool us off, and there was no rain. That was great because there was a lot of concerns about that. But it was great to be out there again, and just everyone that reached out to me to say hello. Thank you so much. I enjoyed taking pictures with all you guys, and it was a great atmosphere. And we're going to continue to do what we do best, which is stand up for Karen. There's going to be there's a Michael Morrissey fundraiser event coming up soon, where a lot of us are going to be standing outside there. I'm still working on to see if I can get out there for that. More standouts are coming in September, including the big Labor Day one. And I think there's another one later that month as well. We're going to continue to work on that. As long as they continue to drag Karen and her family through this, we are going to continue to raise our game and step it up and do what we need to do. Last Sunday was an amazing day across the state of Massachusetts, including Rhode Island, New Hampshire, and I think there were some other locations, New Brunswick, Canada. We had people all over the place. Many of us, such as yourself, Mike, were out there. I was at 2 locations, Auburn, Mass, Millbury, Mass, had a wonderful time, and we got the message across, and we're going to continue to do that. And the more and more they're going to put Karen through this, we're going to go ahead and step up our game and step up getting that message out there that Karen Read is innocent, standing with our signs, demonstrating positivity and not negativity, and that basically proving that injustice like this should happen to no one, because there's 2 people that are primarily affected by this. That's Karen Read, who continues to live in a situation where her freedom's on the line, and John O'Keefe, whose life was lost over 2 years ago, and he has not got justice. And Dina and Turtle Boy, I can't remember who, but one of them said today, justice for John O'Keefe is first freeing Karen Read. And I think that they both said that. And that's an absolute fact. Karen Read going to prison for a duration of 25 years to life, or whatever that sentence would potentially be. And I don't think she'll ever get convicted of this anyways. But hypothetically, this is something she should not have to endure. This has been proven by the defense team over and over again that she's innocent. The jury, counts 1 and 3, they said not guilty. Count 2 had some level of dispute. That just needs to be whatever's left of this. But Karen Read deserves to walk on in her life, living a life in absolute freedom and free of this, and having an opportunity to mourn the loss of John O'Keefe and basically take that in, because she's been on the defense from the beginning for the most part on this. And it's absolutely sickening to watch her have to go through this. And I just hope that there's a day real soon where Karen can walk free and enjoy her life free of this stuff. And I'll say this again, I absolutely admire Karen, because she could be someone that doesn't carry herself the way she does, but she carries herself to the highest level of strength, of courage, of grace, of poise. And she's the ultimate example of someone that is absolutely honorable and absolutely admirable. And I respect Karen Read so much, and I love her to death. And I love the fact that everybody else that supports Karen Read feels the same exact way that I do. And we will continue to fight, and we'll continue to use our free time as much as we need to support her. And I will close right here by simply saying this 3-word phrase: free Karen Read. Thank you.
Love it. I love how Karen recently said too that they will never break me.
Yeah, absolutely. That was amazing. Right at the yeah, Tommy caught that on camera. Yeah,
Sunday.
that was awesome. Yeah, that was great. I loved it.
Got a question for Mark. Is your dog Lola named after the Kinks song?
Maybe. I don't think so. My recollection is we were just kicking names around for, a scrappy rescue. And I think my son came up with Lowell, and we all right, that's a good one. Winnie is named after Winston Churchill. That I can tell you. She's a female, so she's Winnie instead of Winston. She would have been Winston if she was male. But yeah, Lola, maybe. Maybe. I mean, that's an interesting song choice if that was naming your dog after Lola
I was
from
thinking of the other one. Her name is Lola. Remember that one?
the Copacabana. Yeah.
Yeah, the Cabana song. I
I'm
don't.
not
Who
sure.
did that song? I don't even
Barry
know.
Manilow. I'm not
Oh, was
sure.
that
Okay.
Barry Manilow? Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
I'm
it
not
was.
sure we named the dog after the showgirl from who saw, Rico, who wore a diamond and all of that. But yeah, no, Winnie is a historical figure, and Lola is just Lola, I think.
Very good. Do you have any final thoughts tonight, Attorney Bederow?
Yeah, a very good day for the defense. And it's amazing to me because every time you see them go to battle, they're it's not a fair fight in terms of the lawyers. I mean, they really are just outgunning the DA at every step of the proceedings. I mean, they have just incredibly skilled trial lawyers and zealous advocates, and they go to the bullpen for this and bring in just an incredibly skilled appellate type lawyer, and they just continue to full court press, and they're winning, and they're gonna win. I don't know why anybody would think this is going to change. The thing that stuck out to me today that made me scratch my head, I thought Lally's partner was going to do the argument today for the simple reason she's the law guy. I thought that was kind of her whole purpose for being on the team, was to be the law guy. But it was another example of like poor Lally doing everything. And, he looked outgunned. He didn't look very interested in what he was saying. It didn't, I don't think, project well for the DA's office. And it just continues. And it's going to take time, but ultimately it'll end. And I think it'll just end without a trial. I really do. But we'll see. But it's not going to end anytime soon, unfortunately. But I think in the next several months, this thing will just die on the vine, and that'll be that. And then hopefully, she can begin the process of reputation restoration, because that's going to be tough.
I wonder too if they do go forward. Who the hell are going to have testify for the prosecution? Who's
Well,
going to be left?
Well, I think you have a serious problem with some of the state troopers, and these are important people. I mean, if you don't have Proctor and Buchanan, then who's going to tell you about, taillight pieces rising up off the ground and being discovered on a daily basis? Who's going to tell you how evidence was vouchered and preserved and safeguarded? Who's doing anything? Who's going to talk about the alleged statement that Karen Reed made, all this other stuff? What are they going to do? So I think you're right. And then I think you also have some civilians who may not. I mean, they can compel them to appear, but if you're Brian Higgins, are you signing up for this again? He seems to be kind of separated from this crew a little bit, maybe. At least that's how it feels. And his testimony was not good. It was not consistent. It was very problematic in certain areas. Is he going to do this again? He doesn't seem to have the fight in him like some of these other ones do. I mean, would Jennifer McCabe do it again tomorrow?
I think,
Absolutely.
yeah, she'll be there.
Yeah,
She was there today.
Oh, hey,
She
listen,
was outside of court today, Jennifer McCabe.
people, some people are wired differently, right? And, whether you believe her or not, yeah, she'll show up any day they tell her to, and she'll say what she's going to say. And when you try to tell her that, you didn't say this, she'll say, yes, I did. And then she'll look at you like you have six heads, and that's that. again, she may be wired differently, but what about some of these other ones? You know, even some of the lesser ones. What about these kids in the SUV, or, Juliana Nagel, those types? I mean, there's a lot there, right? That maybe at a retrial they could really dig into, a lot of uncomfortable versions or portions of their testimony. I don't know.
I hope they don't put that niece and nephew through it again.
Oh, they will.
Seriously, yeah. And you're right,
They
they
will.
will.
It's like
Yeah.
child abuse.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah.
You think that of course they will. Those kids. Now, well, actually, I shouldn't say that. If you lose Proctor and Buchanan, and you lose that whole kind of nonsense about the Ring camera, then maybe they don't use the kids. I don't know. On the other hand, the Ring camera, the DA didn't they kind of prove it was probably Proctor who got rid of the Ring camera?
Yeah, they did basically.
It really worked out the way they intended that to. And along with all the other missing video and inverted video, I mean, you could go on and on with this stuff. I don't see this as a tenable retrial. And you're giving really good lawyers a chance to recalibrate, refresh, review, re-strategize, and it's just going to be even worse than it was the first time around. It will not be a pleasant experience for the DA, and I think she'll get acquitted if they do it.
One of our moderators, MJ, is here. She's missed most of the show. She's going through some stuff. She's great, but she says finally able to chill. Don't end the show yet. She just got here. She doesn't want us to end the show. You'll have to hit the replay, I think, MJ.
Yeah. I got buffalo wings that I'm getting ready.
Yeah,
to make,
Mazza's got to get buffalo wings. I got some dogs here who are son. They've been pretty good, but there was one yip. Did you hear the little yip at one point?
Yeah. I've got an important night of we're doing a Stranger Things rewatch because
nice.
That's what she wants to do. So that's what we do. So we're on what is probably now rewatch 3 or 4. But what are you gonna do? They want to watch it. You watch it, right?
Stranger Things is amazing. It's one of my favorite shows of all time. Yeah,
I got in trouble for bagging out of the last series we were watching.
Yeah, no, we told you you're making a mistake.
Yeah,
but,
it's amazing.
But hopefully, pretty soon, I'm going to get the boy to do a Breaking Bad. That will be the father-son bonding thing because that's the great thing. Another great one that we were talking about today with some guy online. The famous Joe Flipperhead. A lot of wire talk online today. He's making memes.
Oh yeah, you're telling him what to make.
Well, he was doing some, and he had the wire. He had the video with Bunk and Omar, and then I said, what we really need you to do, I won't swear, I promise, but we need him to make a mashup, some kind of meme, taking the best scene ever from The Wire, if you've seen it, where, you know what I'm talking about? When Bunk and McNulty walk into the apartment and all they're doing is saying one word or variations of it that begins with an F and ends with a K and it's 4 letters. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
And make a mashup of that. There would be that would.
It's coming. It's coming.
Well, I hope so. We called for it.
He's probably looking for the download right now.
We put up the bat signal and called for it. So, yeah, if he's listening today, let's do it.
I wanted a Curb Your Enthusiasm episode where Larry David shows up as a free Karen Reed supporter, but he wears a blue shirt because it's the only shirt that he has left. This is the only shirt that I have to wear. That would be funny.
It's funny too. Like on our last show, we had he made I think it was the last show. Yeah, you requested he make a video, and then he made the video like overnight. Like the video made, and then Howie Carr replayed some of our show on his show like a couple days later. Like that's never happened to us before.
That was awesome.
So shocking to listen to someone like that guy. I've heard. I used to hate Howie. I had issues with Howie, but he's a legend. To hear him actually just replay the show, it was just like, wow, that was amazing, unbelievable.
I'm sure he's going to crush them on today, and God knows, in a day or two.
I hope so. I love he's getting into the numbers now. He's getting into how much they get paid. Gallagher, it's what Howie's really good at. That go after the hacks, and
he made over $300,000 as a police officer in a relatively speaking small town. plus his
Overpaid.
pension, no overhead. That's insane.
Sure is.
Yeah.
And then look what kind of service you get up for that kind of money.
Yeah.
Not the best bang for your buck.
No.
No.
And this is what they don't need. Howie Carr digging around. It's like now you got
Yeah.
two Turtle Boys on you because
Right.
Howie and Turtle Boy. It's just like
Yeah.
those two characters will unearth everything.
Yeah.
So good luck to them.
Yep.
Well, I want to thank you guys so much for being here again tonight. The 3Ms. It's been another great night. I don't know when we'll do it again because I mean we'll see. It just depends on breaking news, right?
That's right. Yep.
Yeah.
I can already feel Auntie Bev releasing that article about what she feels, and
That's probably actually will be the next show. Yeah, when we get some news on Bev.
Yeah,
maybe it'll be Monday. Hopefully, it's Monday. I don't know.
No way.
You think it's going to be like a week or two, right?
For her decision?
Yeah.
I thought about it while I was at the Cape crab walking, and I've decided that I'm not going to dismiss those counts. Oh my goodness! Yeah,
we will see what happens. I mean, I would like to see her work on that all weekend to have it done Monday morning. Is that asking too much?
That's a big ask. Yeah,
Auntie Bev's crab walking all weekend. Yeah, that's a big thing over there in Cape Cod, I guess, according to Auntie Deb.
Someone said 3 to 4 weeks. You think it will take that long? 3 to 4 weeks? Really?
Yeah, I do.
Really? Why do you think it would take 3 to 4 weeks?
Because this is a very important novel issue that everyone's watching, and an appeals court is ultimately going to deal with it. And you need to explain your reasoning very carefully. Either way, again, this is the DA's fault. They put this all on her. If she denies granting a hearing, she's going to have to put it in writing and rationalize why, despite the fact that every juror is basically saying we acquitted her, that I'm not even going to have a hearing. You better paper that to death and explain your reasoning. On the other hand, if she grants a hearing, it's virtually unprecedented. These things, you generally don't call jurors back, and she'd be essentially making new law and should very carefully lay out a precedent that hopefully the appellate court would keep up. The DA has put this all on her. So she won't be happy about it, but now all eyes are looking at her.
Which is what she wants, right? She wants to be the big superstar. Yeah.
I don't know if you want this. This is one.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
What is this? More news. What does that mean?
I know they said Turtle Boy has more news coming. I'm sure he does. We'll see.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to see what else he digs up here, especially related to this the jurors.
Look, we're guessing here, but you saw it today. More jurors coming out. It's getting more vocal, a little more aggressive, if you will. Just about they don't want to hear from us. Fine. If they want to know the truth, they'll want to hear from us. Could be more of that. I mean, you have to think that jurors are pissed off.
Funny moment from today that I forgot to share. I know Kelly had talked about this in the comments. Was that they tried to chant the blue shirts started to chant "lock her up" at us, and so Turtle Boy started to chant, countering that, saying "lock Jen up." And then as soon as they were both yelling and we were yelling, Turtle Boy goes, "Yeah, see, you guys are saying lock Jen up now. That's awesome." He kind of that was incredible to watch in real time outside that courthouse. That was funny.
Well, what was Jen doing? Did you take a look at her at that point?
Yeah, I saw her out there. She hugged Ron DePetro, or whatever that guy's name is there. That's on
Petro, yeah.
Petro, yeah, him. And then she was there for a bit. And then a few other notable names were there for a bit. Then they just a few of them just kind of disappeared into wherever, and that was it. So there were rumors that KP may have been there down the street at the pizza place today, handing out stickers. That was one rumor, but just rumors that I had kind of heard through the grapevine.
It looked like Turtle Boy posted a picture of her. Yeah.
Oh, did he? Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay.
That's probably where Jen McCabe went.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Strange relationships get developed from this, huh?
Yeah.
Somebody posted a picture of McCabe like hugging some of the loud Twitter people. I guess they gravitate to each other because who else is there at this point?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys so much tonight for being here. Helena Rafferty's house is up for sale, which is funny.
For 1.8, huh?
1.8. She's got some money.
Maybe she can find a new job as the chief of police in the same town Jodie Foster was a chief of police in the fourth season of True Detective, which is a wintry Alaska where it's always dark. Had to get one more TV show reference in there before we left.
That's a TV show reference. I thought it would be a movie one, but it's a TV.
Yeah, I had to switch it up tonight. We're talking TV shows. I had TV shows, Mike. So
there you go. I put everything in either food or music. You're about the TVs of the movies.
TV and movies and sports. You got it. Thank God Team USA basketball won yesterday because I was freaking out for 2 hours straight.
Did they win? I have no idea.
They won.
They got a gold medal again?
They were down by 15.
Do we have 2 minutes for a sports rant?
We got it.
The lack of respect for Jason Tatum is disgusting. And it the last time this happened, Kerr, who is a weasel, said, "Oh my God, I feel like such an idiot," as if he made a mistake. And then he did it again. There's no mistake here. What is this? I hope he never coaches USA basketball ever again because the disrespect for Tatum is just off the charts. Gross.
Maybe they don't like Boston. They don't like Boston.
I don't know if he's pissed off about, the 52-point loss this year, which I was at. We enjoyed that game, by the way. Or whether it's just playing his cronies, Curry obviously is going to be his guy. That's okay. Durant was his guy for a while and Spoelstra's guys. I mean, I don't know. Tatum is, what is he? 3-time All-NBA first team consecutive, just won an NBA championship, highest paid player in the league, and he can't get minutes on a USA basketball Olympic team because we can't make enough minutes for enough guys. Come on. Devin Booker can get heavy minutes, but not Jason Tatum. Come on. All right, done sports rant, but
yeah, no, I agree.
How about the Patriots?
I'm just happy they won.
Are they going to be good this year or not?
No.
No.
Not for a long time. That check is due. You got 20 years of just dominance, and now it's you're stuck with probably a decade of awful, but it's worth it.
I like that third or fourth string. I guess he's the fourth stringer. He looked pretty good.
Yeah. He's fun.
Yeah.
But
it seems like every year they have one of those and then they never play him. There was that kid last year. What's his name?
Mac Jones. Oh
no, the kid that was on practice squad. They tried to turn him into a wide receiver, but he's a quarterback.
Oh, the guy,
whatever his name is. Yeah.
They can't even get we're back to ASU, but they couldn't get Brandon Ayuk, who was a Sun Devil, because there's no quarterback.
Yeah, they don't want to play there.
No, they don't want to play with crappy quarterbacks, and
even for more money. That tells you a lot when
they were
turning down more money to come play for you.
Yeah,
we'll see what happens.
Yeah,
you know what? I kind of like the Patriots back in the day when they were the Patriots. Like Steve Grogan was like my highlight, and then Bledsoe, like
Steve Grogan in the neck roll, huh?
Yeah. When they started winning, I just kind of like tuned out. I was just like, this is too much. Brady is winning too much. All the New England fans are getting way too cocky, they forget what it was like.
Well, now
I know. We should have won 12 Super Bowls at least, though. I always think they underachieved. I mean, they probably could have been a 12-time Super Bowl champion. So I'm always looking at it from the opposite perspective. I'm always like, well, we should have won 12. We do.
Well, now that they're going to suck for a few years,
I want to win.
It's a golden opportunity to rebrand and go back to full-time Pat Patriot.
Oh, I know. Yeah, for sure.
You want to get rid of Elvis.
Go back. No more flying Elvises. That's the Brady era. Go back to the white helmets. Those uniforms are some of the best uniforms in sports in the last 50 years.
Yeah. Super Bowl 20, 46-10.
Yeah, the all-white uniforms were fantastic with the white helmet, the white. Yeah, they were amazing.
Even the red pants. Remember when they'd have like the white shirt, red pants? It was good stuff. But I mean, if you're gonna suck, you might as well look the part and bring back some nostalgic from the old days. And yes, the Bears Super Bowl and all that.
Bury the Bear. I won a turkey over that when I was a kid. Yeah, I had the local convenience store was doing a sign contest with all the local kids, and mine was bury the Bears.
That was
I want a free turkey for the family. It was one of the top 3.
That was the same year as Squish the Fish.
That's right.
Although a dolphin's not a fish, so that was
I
kind
know,
of
right?
that didn't really work, but it
It worked. We won. We finally beat the Dolphins in something.
that's right.
We
That's
lost them every year. Every year we go down to Miami and lose.
They would never win in the Orange Bowl. That's right.
Never.
Yep. And they beat the Raiders that year, who were
But
really
see,
good.
I used to love that because when I went to Bridgewater State, we used to always be able to get tickets like the day of the game. You could never do that now. You could never walk up on a Sunday and just get tickets.
Well, now
And have
the whole place. I mean, the whole Patriot place is so. I mean, we stay there sometimes when we go to games. We'll, for the weekend. I mean, there's actually a lot to do there. Good restaurants, good stuff.
It's gotten gentrified.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not. I had not been out there I hadn't been out there since pre-COVID, and I was just out there a couple weeks ago. And it's like even Patriot Place, when you walk through there at night, there's like this overhead lighting, and it's beautiful. It's absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
Squish the Fish. We're having memories tonight. This is fun.
Yeah. I remember going to Foxborough Stadium when I was a kid, and it was just I used to call it the Cement Bowl. It was just this boring place. It had one building. It was
It wasn't boring though. I mean, I don't know if you remember if you were back in the real day. Like it used to get crazy.
Well,
I remember my grandfather was yelling at the cops like, "Go arrest those guys, not our section. We didn't throw the beer at them."
Right.
Because it was so friggin' crazy.
I'm talking about the physical makeup of the location.
Yeah, I'm talking about the fun of people throwing beer at each other.
Right.
Sections were fighting. They couldn't have Monday night games there because people would get too drunk.
I was gonna say, there was a period of time where, not that the Patriots were any good and worthy of Monday Night Football back then, but they were in essence banned from hosting Monday Night Football.
I think Kansas City's like that now, isn't it?
It's kind of sad. Monday Night
Philly
Football
is
like not a thing anymore.
Philly's nuts.
Yeah, it's Philly the nuts place. Yeah,
they're pretty intense over there. Yeah,
they have a jail in the stadium in Philadelphia.
That's it. Philly's the New England. Like
they are lunatics. 2 years ago, we went to a Celtics playoffs game in Philly 2 years ago. You remember the game where they lost in overtime and Marcus Smart hit the shot at the buzzer, but it was a fraction of a second late in the playoffs the year before last? Do you remember that? So we went to that. Yeah. So for 1 second, you thought, my God, they just won. And then reality sets in, they lost. And the Philadelphia place is going nuts. And here we are like, shit, family of 4. We're all wearing green. We got to walk out of this hellhole. And the stuff that those people will say, and I'm talking to like children, okay? I don't care. You can say what you want. I
believe it.
The stuff that they will say to like a little girl or a 12-year-old boy, they're different, man. They are nasty.
That's how they do it. That's how New England used to be back in the day.
Yeah, like pre-Red Sox winning. That's kind of how it used to be.
It was ugly.
But and that was only like a basketball game. That wasn't even like the Eagles, which would have been
the football. Yeah, football. So yeah.
Yeah, no, they're Neanderthals.
I once took a girl to a New England Patriots game. She was from Australia, and she wore like really short shorts.
Yeah, bad move.
And at the end of the night, she was like, "I can't believe how bad they treated me." And I was like,
the worst. So I used to go to in the old Yankee Stadium.
Oh, jeez.
I'm talking like pre-2004, so they would be in your face.
Yeah.
And you sit in the right field.
Won a World Series since 1918.
So in 2004, I went to games 1 and 2 against the Yankees, which of course they lost because they
in New York.
That was the Who's Your Daddy game. I don't know if you remember that. And man, the stuff that those people would say to Red Sox, and back then you had nothing to say. Now they don't say anything because they're humiliated. But
Game 7 in Yankee Stadium in 2004 was my favorite game ever played in Yankee Stadium by far. Seeing all those Yankees fans totally defeated as they were ready to blow that whole series, and Johnny Damon hammering that grand slam. It's amazing.
The Johnny Damon grand slam in Game 7 may have been, in my entire sports watching life, one single euphoric screaming moment that may have been like number one of all.
I mean, I think that's the only time healthy that the only like, you know how we said you drive for an hour or two to hate on somebody,
Yeah.
like hating on Yankees fans. I think that's legitimate.
It
Yeah.
was.
That's it. That's all you can. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
The other
to
crazy
see them
moment-
lose, I get happy. I do. I get.
Oh,
You
yeah.
always know those Yankee fans. They're so obnoxious.
We won
Malcolm
more World Series
Butler-
titles than you guys. Like, no. You guys have won like the World Series twice this century, 2000 and 09. That's it. You guys haven't. I mean, and they won majority of their World Series prior to 1980. I mean, they've only won what, 5 with Jeter, and that's about it since the late 96 on. That's a
they
pretty
won-
solid number from 96 on for a normal team, but they're still bragging
90.
about being 27-time champs when most of their World Series titles were won with Reggie Jackson or
Babe Ruth.
Mickey Mantle or Babe Ruth. You know, it's like, okay, well, that's why I don't really brag about the Russell titles as much. I look more about the Bird era and on is what I kind of consider my time. You know what I mean?
Unfortunately, the Yankees,
Yeah.
when I first moved to New York, were in the midst of their, late 90s, early
Yeah.
2000s run.
That was when they were most obnoxious.
That was
Yeah.
when they were at their most obnoxious. The
Probably
Red
some of the
Sox,
best baseball teams ever assembled, though. That Yankees dynasty was nuts.
they were crazy.
Yeah.
But I went to a lot of these games that year, but I went to that game where that ridiculous game where Jeter dived into the crowd.
Yeah, I
and
remember that game.
Omar didn't play. And that to me was like, that was the
Yeah.
get rid of Omar game. But I
Yeah.
don't know if you remember Jeter diving into the crowd. They won
That was
game.
01, if I'm not mistaken. No, maybe
That
it was 01.
No, that was
Was it
04.
04? Oh, okay.
That was
thinking
the
about
year
No
they
one.
got rid of Garcia Parra a week later. It was
right. Yeah.
it was bad. And then that same summer, I actually went to the A-Rod Varitek game. That was great.
Okay.
Yeah, that was
Classic.
fun.
That was
See
amazing.
Live,
They
yeah.
probably ended the curse right then and there.
That was awesome, and that was a crazy game. They actually won on a Bill Miller home run off Mariano Rivera.
Yeah.
You ever before Bill
I remember
Miller?
that. Yeah, that was a wild Saturday. I'll never forget that game. I used to watch. That was back in the day when I used to watch the Red Sox game start to finish, and
Yep.
I remember watching that whole game. That was a classic. Those Red Sox Yankee games in 03 and 04 were the absolute best ever, regardless of outcome. They were just nuts.
Those were good. The whole era of Don Zimmer taking a spill. And,
Oh, I love Don Zimmer. He was great.
Pedro Martinez did not throw down Don
that was
Zimmer.
not-
Don Zimmer
I-
charged
I-
him like a bull, and he.
I
just
liked
simply
when he was
took
with
his
the
head
Red
and placed
Sox
him.
back in the day.
I'll
Yeah.
die on that hill with you. That was really
Yeah.
lame blaming Pedro for that. But
Yeah.
remember
Yeah,
Pedro,
Pedro's a good guy.
Pedro throwing at Kareem. Who the hell is Kareem Garcia? And just I loved all that.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Great conversation again tonight.
Oh,
I
yeah.
want to thank you both for being here, and it's good to talk about Boston sports too.
Oh yeah.
all right. I guess
I don't know
it's
how you deal with New York every day, Mark.
Oh, I know.
it's a lot easier in the last several years. I mean, everything
point.
changed in 04. The Patriots always, although the Giants, that's tough with being around here. The Jets meatheads who are terrible. Obviously basketball is good, right? And Ranger fans are okay, but they never win anything. So
Yeah, they never win.
so it's not as bad as it used to be. But all right, I guess it's off to Demi Gorgons and all that kind of stuff now for me for the next 5 hours.
Yeah, go have fun with that.
Yeah.
Enjoy it. And
least
Maz's gonna get his buffalo wings. I'm gonna go eat some knishes.
Yeah.
Some meat knish.
I'm spending the rest of the night eating buffalo wings, uploading videos, and catching up on the Olympics and preparing for the men's basketball gold medal game. From
When is that?
tomorrow at 3:30.
Enjoy it.
I don't even know if I can watch. I'm so pissed off about what they're doing. But I mean, you have to watch. Yes.
Yeah, I mean they are playing Holiday and White, which is the only compensation. But at the end of the day, the guy just won the NBA championship. Can you imagine Kobe Bryant being in the NBA Finals in 08 and not starting and playing in the 08 Olympic team? It's a disgrace. It's just
It's going to be very interesting. You have your two best players are going to be really pissed off for next season, right? With Brown too, with the whole. So we'll see. Hopefully.
Oh yeah, Boston's repeating next year unless they get hurt. They're repeating next year for sure.
And
See,
here's
this-
Nancy reminding us of Bucky Dent's home run. I don't want.
Oh,
Yeah, I think I'm gonna leave on that one.
I only know him by another name. You're missing an initial.
Yeah,
Bucky
we're not gonna
bleeping.
say it.
That's
I won't
Bucky
say
bleeping. Yeah.
Mother.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much. Have
Thank
a
you.
great
All
night.
right. Take care.
Bye
See
now.
ya.
Take care. Have a good night, guys. Thank you.
And I just want to read a couple Venmo Cash Apps. Thank you so much for watching today, listening today, and all the donations that have been coming in today. I like Deborah, who sent $9.99. She says, "How will we know when Bev rules?" Well, we'll find out. It gets pushed through to the media. We will know when she rules. Either she's going to hold another hearing, or she'll probably just post it, and then we'll all know. Sandy sent $10. She said the jury needs to take this to the media. That would be one way to stop Lally. I agree. I think if you're a juror at this point, what are you waiting for? Just take it to the media. If it's Christina Rex, Turtle Boy, maybe it's us, the Young Jerks, hit somebody up and do an interview. No one's gonna come after you. Seriously. If I were you at this point, you wasted all your time on this. Sarah sent $20. She says, "Love the 3Ms." Thank you so much, Sarah. That was on the Cash App. Thank you so much. Margaret the other night sent $10. I didn't get to read her message. She says, "Thank you for supporting Karen Reed and Aiden Kearney." Thank you so much, Margaret. And I think I had a Venmo the other night I didn't read too. Let me just check on that one. Yeah, Ed sent $30 the other night. Said, "Mike, great show and great guest." That was for the last show that we did with the former state police officer. All right. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for supporting. Thank you for all the comments, the super chats. Just want to make sure I didn't miss anything. I'm not sure when our next show will be. I like to only maybe book, one or two at a time. And I'm not sure what we're going to do next. Oh, I'm going to be a guest tomorrow night at 7 p.m. on another show. I will try to post it up on our YouTube so people can find it. I'll definitely post it up on Twitter. Just look for it at 7 p.m. It might even be on our channel. It depends if they allow to restream it like that. Sometimes the shows that we're guests on do. So we'll see. All right, everyone. Yeah, DJ. I'm going to be on DJ's show tomorrow. I think it's Calling All Beings or something like that is the name of it. It's my first time on the show, so we'll find out when we get there. It looks like it's going to be some good guests, some good people. Mark's going to be on there, Mark Bederow. So I guess I'll see everyone tomorrow night at 7 p.m. I'll be a guest on a show, which is always fun. I think it's easier to be a guest than a host, actually. There's less you could screw up, especially when it's a big panel like tomorrow night. Oh, thank you. MJ says, "Thank you, Mike." I want to say thank you to MJ. Thank you to all our moderators, Stephanie and Jen O, and little Miss Shorty, excuse me. And especially MJ. Thank you so much, MJ. Have a great night and a great weekend, everyone. We'll see you tomorrow night.